Hello everyone, and welcome to The Scoop. I haven't decided on the title for this episode yet, so we'll figure it out at some point, but I am with me today is the one, the only, you know them, Keith Thudgore. Please say hello to the adoring audience.
If anyone here claims they know me, I don't know you, go away.
Yeah, are you sure you don't want to go with let go of my purse, I don't know you?
Fine, I'll be a bit nicer. Hello, people that I totally respect. Nice to be back here in the saddle talking about Pokemon games. I am definitely looking forward to it. And once again, would like to talk about how much I respect you guys. Okay.
And you are absolutely not being coerced into this in any way, shape, or form.
No.
So, here we are. This is your game, sorry. So, week 4? Week 4.
Yeah, week 4.
Coming into this, I am doing okay. You're doing alright. And LS is on the mend, right?
We're like a nesting doll, so it's you're 3 out of 3, I'm 2 out of 3, and LS is 1 out of 3.
I think
like the Russian dolls, you know.
Wouldn't it go the other way around?
Well, yeah, we can. Like the big ones to the small ones, or the small ones to the, you know.
Okay.
It's
the one in the middle is actually got. Well, it depends how many layers you go in, right? But because the middle one, the one in the middle is often made of like solid wood.
Yeah. Well,
and that does describe LS to me, so we'll continue with it. So, in this game, you are playing against one of the most devious opponents of all time. Would you believe yet another person, after how many weeks, has a Frost Breath Anchor Point team?
I'm also going to go on a little complaint-a-thon here.
Also, it is
this is my second opponent.
Sukaba, supervillain Sukaba, as he's known.
Yeah. Supervillain Sukaba switched up their team just before playing me. And then this happened in week 2, and this is also happening in week 5. I think it's targeted. I think it's targeted harassment at me, at my team, and I don't know why.
So well, you're counting it. Week 2, yeah. Week 4, and week 5.
Yep. It's very...
I think it's very difficult to say that they did it just before the end of the week. With the week 5 one, because they did it like yesterday.
Yeah, it's not like last minute.
I'd like Sukaba's, which was, and I actually can't remember who your week 2 opponent was, but I remember I think you already had a team built. Oh yes, Spinarak. I think you already had a team built, and they did it on our Monday, whereas this one they did it on I think Saturday, but possibly Sunday. It's like this one. Look, we can get away. But Sukaba, supervillain Sukaba, like saw the like the I'm forgetting what the word is. Like they had to work the angle, right? That the writers saw that Sukaba was too popular. People that the audience wanted Sukaba. The audience wanted Sukaba. The audience wanted Sukaba. You know, they put Sukaba on the entirety of playoffs in the weekly heat, and then like, okay, maybe people aren't sure how they're feeling about Sukaba at this point. You know, we need to spice it up a little. I'm actually completely forgetting what the Is it just the writers? Like, who do they say? Like the people who organize and run.
Bookers.
The bookers are like, okay, look, we need to do something a little bit interesting. Maybe people don't know how they're feeling about Sukaba. Maybe people are in a different mood, so they go full heel turn. Supervillain Sukaba. As you can see, Spore, dishonest, disingenuous person. Nuzzle, dishonest, disingenuous person. Fake Out, dishonest, disingenuous person. Clear Body, an ability that makes you immune to Intimidate, dishonest, disingenuous person. Anger Point and Solid Rock. In fact, I believe that Sukaba said Camerupt is really good with Solid Rock, which is dishonest and disingenuous because Pokemon has 2 resists. Sorry, has 2 weaknesses. And I don't know how much it's helping you into water moves.
One weakness. Actually, it helped. I remember it helped this.
Look, Curse Body, dishonest, disingenuous. Yarn Medja, it's a nice guy. We're happy with it. It's got Frisk. It's just about keeping you honest. This is a Pokemon that we respect. Revavrum? Do you know what else is interesting about this Revavrum?
What?
It also has Filter and 2 weaknesses.
Actually, you know what else is an interesting thing about this Revavrum? I played this Revavrum in week 1.
Oh, that's right, because they dropped it and then the Revavrum is back.
Yeah. So I don't know if it came against me, to be honest.
I have no idea. Considering they dropped it, probably not.
Did make an appearance.
Anyways, we have Dragonair, another honest Pokemon. Unless you are running Dragon Rush, then you're dishonest. But otherwise, an honest Pokemon. I think it's got Marvel Scale, so it's like trying to take advantage of your opponent clicking Scarlet. You got Hatcham, Magic Bounce, again, an honest Pokemon focused on keeping your opponent honest, right? And then Carkol, which
is the greatest
scares me. I believe it 6-0'd someone last season. Not 6-0'd, sorry, 4-0'd. Like in both games. I think I may have only gotten 7 KOs, but it won like an entire set by itself.
That's cool.
Truly one of the greatest Pokemon of our era. So yeah.
Yeah.
If you are the big cheese, Sukava, or the big cheese, Keith Thudgore, in this matchup, I think that
I'm the big cheese in this goddamn matchup. Let's get
exactly.
this out of the way.
I think you're both the big cheese.
I appreciate you try to like cast him as the villain before we reveal what prep that I ran.
We're not going to look at your prep until after the game. So we go. Dude, I'm actually just trying to remember what the hell. Wow, they really called your boy Shazam Jr. That's crazy. Sorry, I was just like, sorry. The big cheese is what the bad guy from Shazam 1 calls Shazam. It's also occasionally what I call my dad because I just think it's a really funny nickname. And I was trying to find out, so I was like, you're both the big cheese, you're Shazam and then the other guy. But unfortunately, it's Shazam Jr., so I guess we'll see in this match who is Shazam Jr. So let's actually focus on analyzing Pokemon. We see that your team is slightly faster than their team, and then their team is slightly faster than your team, and then their team is your team slightly faster than their team, and it sort of is like very mid-rangey focused. Well, you've got a slow mode, but they've still got a fairly competent slow mode. So this is one where, would you believe, and I've probably never said anything even similar to this before, but speed control is important.
What?
I know, an absolute shocker. So then you may feel tempted to commit. Like, if we look at this matchup, I think that if you are Sukava, even in your supervillain phase, you think, okay, the major concerns that I have are how they're trying to get up and keep speed control on their end, which is to say on your end, Mr. Keith Thudgore. So there is the Tailwind from Flyjon and I believe Venomoth. Can you confirm?
I think it gets.
I think we've run that. I think we ran that last week, but I don't.
No, we had the field.
Yeah, but I think we had it. Oh no, it was Quiverdance. That's right. I forgot. But yeah,
I'm confirming. I'm speaking to the boys in the lab. The boys in the lab have confirmed there's no Tailwind.
Okay. Weavile, Mismagius, and Grumpig have Icy Wind, as well as potentially Lantern. No Tailwind. Okay. So Strength Shot then. And then you've got the Trick Room option, Glowking, Hydrapple, and Berserker. You would not be shocked to see you certainly wouldn't be shocked to see this top 6 at all, if you're coming from here. But you still probably have to pay some respect to Grumpig. Obviously, it gets that extra Trick Room option. You have to pay some respect to Venomoth as a Rage Manamon. I don't think you really expect Gerda here. It has a fairly annoying matchup, obviously with the speed tie into Camerupt, but
I feel like if
it doesn't really love trying to kill like a Carbink.
Yeah, I feel like you'd only really bring it on like very specific comps. If I'm looking at my team like this,
like the fact that you this isn't necessarily the matchup for it, right? This is one where you get out-punched by Breloom, and then you get annoyed generally by Pachirisu. It means that people are able to focus damage into you, which really really lessens the impact of the gut set. And then you're like, okay, am I running Iron Fist Gerda here? Maybe, but I'm definitely not feeling good about it. So there's a lot of things I think disincentivizing you there. And again, that Yarn Mega, which we mentioned, very honest Pokemon, so they get to see on turn 1 if you're leading Gerda, which you may want to do if it's Flame Orb, whether it is that Flame Orb sets, whether it is that EV Light. And it's also a Pokemon that then they have to run like Rock Slide to hit, which is okay.
Yeah.
But like you might miss the Rock Slide, or they might just Terra the Yarn Mega, or they might click Protect or whatever, or they might click Wide Guard because they've got our Blastoids. So definitely
a lot of options.
Not an ideal matchup, right? Obviously, Yanmega has a million good abilities. Frisk, Speed Boost, and Tinted Lens are all nice. Tinted Lens definitely isn't bad here, because you only really have, like, Yanmega then as a bug resist, because everything else becomes neutral bug, and then Yanmega's weak to flying, so that's pretty good.
You mean Venomoth?
What, sorry?
You're saying Yanmega, do you mean Venomoth?
You're completely correct, Venomoth. Venomoth... No, that's not true. Bug doesn't even resist bug. You have no bug resist on your team if they're Tinted Lens.
Yeah.
So...
Because I'm a fool.
You definitely could see that come. Speed Boost, like we mentioned, speed control is important, though I think Frisk is probably what I'd lean towards if this is designed around being support. If it's just around speed boosting and getting damage itself, that would make sense. But if it's about being support, so that means setting its tail end itself, then you definitely would expect it to be Frisk.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can tell you my thoughts heading into this matchup and sort of
about what you thought that Sugaba would bring?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's the thing. There's a lot of like easy, obvious sort of like lead modes that he can bring. So there's obviously like Yanmega setting Tailwind for like speed control options. Then you've got
E-Web
Patrice,
and
you've got
Icy
like Patrice who follow the Patrice who follow me with like Shell Smash Blastoise or like even an SD Breloom or something like that. You've got the Frost Breath Anger Point camera up.
Also,
is funny.
one specific thing. So I'm trying to remember what I had Blastoise with, but I had Blastoise Volcarona in a league last generation. It was pretty good, with the idea being you could run Follow Me. Obviously, this was with Follow Me Blastoise, but you can use Fake Out sort of interchangeably with Follow Me in this context. Yeah. You could use Follow Me and Shell Smash on the same set, and then Quiver Dance and Rage Powder on the Volcarona. Now, in that same vein, you could run Shell Smash, Fake Out, Blastoise, and Spore Sword Stance Breloom. And then depending on what sort of matchup you see at lead, you do have the ability to try and use the Spore or the Fake Out to set up the other Pokemon. So that's definitely an option that Sugaba has, and that's one that, because your matchup is involves a decent bit of like Trick Room concern, it's definitely something that they could consider doing.
Yeah, I think with all those matchups, it does force me into a couple of very specific lead options. But yeah, so that's the main stuff. Really.
I think the main question that I want to ask is, coming into this matchup, are you concerned by the Carbon Cantrum?
Like, you know what? Like, I should be more concerned, but I wasn't in prep because, I don't know, they don't have a Ghost Resist, so like, Mismagius was definitely always coming, which kind of puts a lot of offensive pressure on Hatchram.
Yeah, because if you have Hatchram, if you have Mismagius next to Fake Out, then the Hatchram has to be sashed to set Trick Room, because it wants to Terra Ghost then. So like it either Terra Ghosts and dies to Mismagius, or it doesn't Terra Ghost and it gets Fake Out flinched.
Yeah. And then there's also like, even if they get Trick Room up, like I have a pretty good matchup into those two. Like,
yeah, your team's slower.
Like, yeah, but like, okay, so I hit with Old Mate, Snake Apple guy, Hydra.
Your team is very good into Camerupt as well. Ostensibly, right? There are definitely situations in which you're less good, but you've got Flygon, which is a very consistent check to Camerupt because it is immune to one of the stabs and resists the other. You've got Hydrapple, who resists ground and is neutral to fire, and then you do also just have Slowking Gala, who is slower, and then Gerda speed ties, and you know. I think you can Terra Mismagius to have the same immunity resist thing, and it has special defense.
Like, I think you need to realize is that Hydrapple beats, like, can probably beat one-on-one, besides like Yanmega and Frostlass probably beats every Pokemon one-on-one, because just Dragon Move plus ground coverage is just really effective into their team.
Yeah.
Like,
perks
really,
of having
really
both
effective.
your dragon checks be weak to ground.
Yeah. So, like, it just really opened up the option. And one was even being weak to grass as well, which is, better Fargo.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I wasn't that worried about the Trick Room mode, unless, like, I don't know, if they did some crazy, insane Frostlass shenanigans, Angle Point Trick Room, then maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's very difficult to set up Trick Room and then also get up Angle Point.
To be honest, I was more worried about, like, Scarf Angle Point, though, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Scarf Camerupt, it's
Yeah.
I think faster than Flygon, but slower than Mismagius.
Yeah.
I don't have that off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure.
That would be faster.
Base 40 Scarf. I don't think it's faster than Mismagius level 50.
Yeah.
But then
that would basically be faster than level 2 Pokemon, which is like pretty decent. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking there. Just like, watch out really for the specific. Like, there's just a lot of different leads. I was kind of I thought that I could beat most of them. I just needed to, I guess, call them and be able to like I just feel like a lot of it was getting really matchups right.
Oh, I lied.
Sort of like figuring out the team. Yeah.
Slower than Venomoth. So it would have only been faster than. It is faster than Camerupt. I think it must be base 85. I'm thinking. Yeah, it's 1 point faster than base 85s. It must be I think it must be 50 base speed that peaks at 100. Yeah, it's 50 base speed Scarf that peaks 1 point faster than base 100s at level 50. 1 point slower at level 100. Sorry. I'm just stupid.
Don't worry. So am I. So there's no judgment here. There's only kinship and mateship.
Something like that. So, yeah, you're predominantly worried about their fast offensive threats and the way that they're trying to wear down your main offensive options. Reasonably worried. I think you're somewhat worried about Tailwind, but more worried about the more volatile setup, which is to say, either the boosting the offense from Breloom with the Swords Dance with the priority there, using Shell Smash to get a speed boost, or potentially throwing out like Nuzzles or Icy Winds. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, because from what you're saying, you're mentioning how good the offensive matchup of your Pokemon is, and this is something that I agree is something to think about. You have such a consistently good matchup spread against them that if they're spending a turn clicking Tailwind with one of their slots, then that's a slot that the other Pokemon is either clicking Protect and thus doing nothing, and then making the Tailwind Pokemon risk, or the other slot is attacking, and then you're able to get 2 attacks off in that turn. Or to get setup off, potentially. Including, potentially, Trick Room, of course, but maybe they're less likely to try and Tailwind against a Trick Room setup.
That makes a lot of sense. I wish I knew that going into this game. No.
Well, you were just saying that these are the things you were thinking about, so hopefully that was what you thought going into the game. I mean, that's always like a suspicion, right? So, at this team preview, we see you did just bring the top 6. There's not really a reason to run bad Pokemon. Oh, sorry, there are other thing we didn't comment on. Ironhead, pretty spammable here. So CC hits this, CC hits this, CC hits this, CC hits this.
Yeah.
It's just sort of a good stab. It just is very threatening to potential Carbink, but like Steelworker, Steely Spirit, just good in Trick Room.
I'm just a big Berserker fan, and I think it just sort of works in most of the teams that I have. So I'm gonna. I think it's just a great
very consistent support option.
It's a great Pokemon. I know I don't draft it with another Steel type sometimes, but
in this format where there's like 2 other Steel types.
Yeah.
And as we see, they didn't bring Camerupt, so they only brought 2 of their Steel resists.
Revavavoom and Blastoise.
Blastoids.
Yeah, so here I'm looking at it, I had basically a bit of a plan to just throw down some...
Okay, so instead of talking about what your plan was for your lead, how about we first go to what you anticipate your opponent to lead?
Oh, I had no idea.
Okay, that's a great sign. They did bring Carbink, but that looks like it's an anti-Trick Room lead rather than a Trick Room lead on account of the fact that their slowest Pokemon is Breloom. They did bring that Yarn Mega. You could see Tailwind, or it could be Tinted Lens Offensive, or it could even be Speed Boost, because they do have a Frostlass there, and the Frostlass Icy Wind, I think, makes you lean towards suspecting like an offensive Life Orb or Specs Tinted Lens set. But it's also just a good Pokemon in the matchup, so it's entirely possible that they are still that like Frisk set, which is, again, may well have Tailwind to support the rest of the team. Revavroom is another Pokemon we didn't talk about as a setup option. It does have that Shift Gear option.
That is true.
But it's also not a Pokemon that just hates throwing out stabs against his team because you brought 1 Steel Resist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of the 2 you have? Yeah, 2.
3. Is it 3? No, it's 2.
Yeah.
Huh.
So...
I didn't realize I had that few Steel Resist. Yeah, that's pretty,
It's a premium in this format.
Yeah. I will...
If it helps.
Yeah.
I don't think you have a single Steel weakness.
Well, that's
No, you
cool.
do, it's Weavile. You have 1 Steel weakness and 2 Steel resists. So you probably looked at your matchup spread and you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's green. That's all that matters.
All you gotta do is bring lands up.
Yeah, sure, bro. So what I will also say is that, like, I think when we talked about the leads, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
So
you can see, so obviously the Pachirisu who follow me stuff's gone, but the Blastoise, Breloom, like, either can set up for each other one's still in play, and also just as you said, like a Tailwind option's in play, or like, you know, some sort of like Icy Wind play.
yeah, Icy Wind Spore or Icy Wind Bullet Seed sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like they can just push out damage. It's possible this Carbink is Iron Defense Body Press, because if it's not min speed, then it's most likely to be faster than your Berserker as they see Trick Room, right? So I think if I'm them, if I do have Frisk on Yarn Mega, I think you always want to lead that game 1 and just get information about what your opponent's leading. And then here, I think you basically either commit hard to Trick Room or you lead Weavile. And the idea with Weavile is that you are doing like a pseudo Frisk where you're forcing information from them, whether it's Terra or whatever. They need to show how they're answering your Weavile. If they've got a weird Scarfer, like I mentioned, you know, this is the turn. If they are like a Mark Punch Breloom, you know, this is potentially that turn. If they've got some weird prep on Frostlass, this is that turn. So let's go to and then what you do next to it, you could even go for the Trick Room mode while leading Weavile. So we go turn 1, we see Yarn Mega, and we do see Frisk.
Third option, none of the above.
Yeah. So instead, we see that you have what I believe they call Cringe Edgequake, which is where you just have a Pokemon that's immune to ground that you click Earthquake next to and do some other thing.
So I made a choice with this lead. That's all.
Well, yeah, that's next turn. But yeah, so the Frisk goes off turn 1. That, I think, should tell you a lot about this Yarn Mega.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you as well. I couldn't... Like,
you didn't notice the Frisk.
I remembered it had Frisk, but I didn't notice the Frisk, and it didn't cross my mind because I just thought, like, okay, well, Speed Boost is important, Tinted Lens is so good, that I just sort of automatically discarded, like, the third ability, because Singles Brain. But, yeah, so...
I've definitely run that in Singles before. It's definitely worse than the other ones. I think Speed Boost might have been banned. It might have been a low tier where Speed Boost Yarn Mega was banned. But I definitely run Frisk before. So yes,
Speed Boost,
what you see, you reveal 2 items. You reveal 2 choice items, right? Specifically, you reveal 1 on Flygon. I think that you basically always expect Fake Out and then Support Move from Yarn Mega. Or like Tailwind. You basically always expect Fake Out Tailwind this turn. So your answer then, and what Tsukaba has to play around, they Fake Out. Obviously, if you Terra Ghost, that's mildly annoying, whatever. But they know that you're choice banned. That means you're either slamming Outrage. Outrage could potentially be a problem. But again, only if you Terra Ghost, otherwise this Flygon isn't doing anything. And then on this slot, you're either going for a little bit of damage. You could Power Gem the Yarn Mega, which could potentially be annoying. Really depends what's in the back, because then you're locked into Power Gem. If they have Revavroom and Breloom, you know, whatever they follow up with is going to be fine into it, and honestly, Carbink is going to be fine as well. You also may well not have brought Power Gem. You could click Mystical Fire, but I don't think that would KO. Same thing with Thunderbolt, though maybe Thunderbolt would. I wouldn't necessarily expect it to, though. Basically, if they go for Fake Out here, you're either threatening Blastoise a tiny bit with some damage from Mismagius as they get Tailwind up, or you're going to go through Icy Wind and get speed support, or you're completely insane and you click Trick Room this turn, which I don't think anyone expects. But I don't think you do, because you're a coward and a fool.
God, I wish I was cool enough to do that.
Theoretically, the other annoying play you could do is switcheroo into either of these slots, but especially the Unmega, if you do expect it to click Tailwind, because then it would be locked into Tailwind with its Scarf.
You'll
probably still find getting Tailwind for Yarn Mega and then just switching it.
Yeah,
so,
you know...
your answer then, sorry, did I say Icy Wind?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so Icy Wind, the idea with Icy Wind is, hopefully, if neither of these are Cloak or Clear Amulet, you neutralize the speed advantage that they're otherwise gaining. Because if you drop these Pokemon speed, they're going to still be slower than Scarf Mismagius, and if you drop their speed again, then they're going to be slower than Flygon. So if you Icy Wind twice and neither of them are Cloak or Clam, then Flygon is going to be going first with its Choice Band.
Yep,
and some damage.
And Survey says...
You go for the Terra Ground,
Ground,
because they didn't have to Fake Out, right? They could potentially have gone for Ice Beam.
Yeah, they could have gone for Ice Beam.
Yeah.
That's why I
the main reason.
Grounded.
Or Ice Punch, as it were. So Icy Wind. Now, we see a speed drop on the Blastoids, so that means this Yanmega is Cloak or Clear Amulet.
Or Clear Amulet, but probably Cloak, because...
You would anticipate Cloak, because it's playing around like a Berserker Fake Out. Potentially has Whirlwind to prevent you setting Trick Room.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we see the Tailwind, fairly expected turn. We see an Air Slash come out, an unfortunate flinch there.
Which is very sad.
Earthquake comes out, gets good chip into the Blastoids, and then the Blastoids crits. I don't think that mattered, correct?
Probably not.
Did you calc?
Well, no, but it's a Wave Crash to a ground type.
It's also Blastoids.
Yeah.
Okay, let's like it could potentially like I think when you see it slower at -1 than Flygon, you expect it to be Adamant. Would you say that's a reasonable perspective?
I think so. Well, I expected at this point it to either still be I thought it must still be like a supporty Pokemon or a
it definitely
after
did not
Fake Out. But yeah, I really doubt that the Wave Crash. I think I might have.
I always forget how frail Flygon is.
Yep. 80.
That's the Fiona bulk. That's that base form Glalie bulk, Beautiful.
Watch out.
So yeah,
Glalie.
I don't think you're particularly impressed with the damage of this Earthquake.
No, I'm not particularly impressed by the flinch either. Bit sad.
Yeah, the flinch would have meant that the next turn you're threatening
to kill the Yanmega.
Yeah, the Yanmega with the KO for the next Icy Wind.
Yeah.
Okay, so it takes recoil, but it does not faint. That
said,
it
would also, by the way, if you look up,
it did 3%.
Icy Wind, only 3%. Oh yeah, but actually, I remember, by the way, with this 3%, I went, oh yeah, it's a Assault Vest, so it is an Assault Vest Blastoise.
Okay. That is an important thing to note. So the Blastoise is Assault Vest, which means it can't click Protect. You think you know that it's either Clear Amulet or Covert Cloak. You very strongly suspect it's Clear Amulet. Sorry, it's Covert Cloak, not Clear Amulet. You'd expect if something is Clam, that it would either be like the River Room, or the Blastoise, right? Obviously it wasn't the Blastoise, or it would be the Frostlass, which you use it as like a secondary Covert Cloak, with the idea being it can prevent Icy Wind speed drops, even if you don't need it for like the Fake Out or Electroweb or whatever. It just mitigates the amount of RNG your opponent can throw at you, but less likely against a Weavile, which can obviously threaten a KO with knockoff.
So this turn is where I wish I could have fit Ice Shard onto Weavile. I could not, so I had to protect
Ice Shard threatening both these Pokemon with a KO.
But I got the Icy Wind.
Now, I think...
I got the crit on the Yanmega, which is incredible.
You got the crit onto both.
Oh, I got the crit onto both?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I did! I mean, it didn't matter against the Blastoise.
Well, potentially, now if you crit it again, it'll faint.
Yeah. Or,
unfortunately, it doesn't get that opportunity. Okay, so now we come to this point. You have, unfortunately, already used your Protect on Weavile. Now, they may be apprehensive of Focus Sash. Who knows what specifically they're concerned about. Nothing about either of these Pokemon. You fully anticipate that Breloom is going to be able to threaten your Weavile with a KO, and then depending on what the River Room is running, it may be also able to threaten the Hydrapple with an Oak.
Well, the important thing to note here is two things. One,
they still have Talent.
And they still have Talent, and they still have Terror.
Yeah.
And the second one is, I was not Sash on...
well, that's what we're about to learn, right? Your opponent doesn't know that, right? I'm not talking about spoilers at this point. Like, we're trying to think about... We're trying to analyze what you know at this point of this game. At this point, no one knows anything about the 4 Pokemon that are on the field.
That's true.
That's not true. They know that the Weavile is Protect. The Weavile being Protect, in my opinion, leads you towards thinking it's Focus Sash. But in their position, Breloom doesn't die to Ice Shard. They may feel it's safer to go for Bullet Seed into Weavile, which very likely still KOs, and doesn't then potentially lose it to an annoying Sash, or they may double up the Weavile potentially. If they're not that worried about Hydrapple. Obviously Hydrapple does have the Fickle Beam RNG. Now, we see a Terra Ice come out here, and you go for a double protect. You succeed on the double protect. You see a Mach Punch come out. And like that's always like an okay, this is a turn, right? So Terra Blast comes out. You live because of the HE, and then you miss the Fickle Beam Skull Burn, you know.
Yeah.
They're going all out.
I needed the Fickle Beam going all out, I think.
Well, the thing is that at this point, Breloom could be Sash. But you don't get that information because Fickle Beam is an annoying move that I don't like.
Yeah.
So they now know that Weavile is not Sash. You find that they're Life Orb, which is obviously good news for you. And you don't learn anything about this River Room outside of the fact that it's Terra Blast, Terra Ice, and it decided to click it twice. Like that could suggest to you a potential choice item. We mentioned earlier that Steel is a really good stab into you, so it's potential that their choice band, potential theoretically a choice scarf, or it could mean that they have Gunk Shot, and they are apprehensive at clicking Gunk Shot in case it misses. So
well, they could still just be a setup set that just happens to have Terra Blast, right?
Yeah, I'm just talking about why they would have gone for Terra Ice, Terra Blast this turn instead of going for
that's true.
Poison Jab, if they had it, or theoretically Gunk Shot.
I think at this point I was just assuming that they didn't want to give away any extra information.
I think clicking Terra Blast, Terra Ice on turn 4 gives away a lot of information.
Oh yeah, no, I mean like turn 5.
Yeah, no, like
on turn 4, yeah.
When we're thinking about why aren't they clicking a poison move here, that's what I'm specifically contemplating. Yeah, and then them finding out you're not Sash there, obviously very good for them.
Yeah.
So now we go to game 2.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it looks like if you did hit the Fickle Beam, you definitely would have gotten more information on the River Room. You wouldn't have gotten the information that this was Life Orb, but you would have known it wasn't Sash, which is the most important thing. And you would have been able to get some information on the River Room. Obviously subject to whatever the Weavile set is.
Yeah.
And RNG. So how do both players adapt? I think that Tsukaba should feel relatively happy leading the same 2 again, but could very well adapt up to probably something else still, potentially with the River Room, but otherwise probably still Yanmega I think is still like a really good option here. I don't hate like a Spore lead. At this point, I think I'm very unlikely to switch up to Carbink unless it's Imprison Trick Room and they're very worried about you going for Hard Trick Room. But from what we saw of the previous lead, I don't think that they need to feel particularly concerned about the Hard Trick Room. As in, I feel like they had tools that could potentially deal with Hard Trick Room.
Yeah.
So your then response to lead is you could theoretically lead the same team and then just not get Flinch. Or you could focus down damage into either slot on turn 1, right? You could switch Flygon. But you probably don't want to lead Flygon, is what I'm trying to actually say. Now, they...
Yeah, I was never leading Flygon after this.
Sorry.
I had a couple of options, though, that I was going through my head at the time.
Sorry, they know that the Weavile is not Sash. So, I would say then the main things to think about, Clear Amulet, Covert Cloak, and then a damage boosting item. Now, the Weavile, I think... Never clicked an attacking move?
Never clicked an attacking move.
So, they may think it's not Fake Out. That's definitely something that they may think on this, because of this turn. You could theoretically have gone for Fake Out here, into the Blastoids. Probably wind up sacking the Weavile. You may still have Fake Out. But you probably don't. And then, you could... so you're either likely a damage boosting item, or you are Covert Cloak or Clear Amulet, because you're obviously not Assault Vest, right? You also have Click Protect.
Yeah.
They didn't see, they saw the HE Berry on Hydrapple. That's a sign that you don't want to Terror the Hydrapple, most likely. And then they saw the Scarf and the Band. So they've gotten pretty good information on the Pokemon you have not named Weavile, but they are able to infer a lot of stuff about the Weavile and what its head is.
And I've got information on the Yanmega and Blastoise and
Breloom, but not on
basically besides that has Terra Blast.
Yeah. Again, I think that we know it's not a Soul Fest, which I think makes us lean towards either a choice set or potentially a setup set.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking at this point.
I think I mentioned.
Unfortunately, it was impossible to determine if it was what do you call it, like a scarf or not.
Actually, you could at this point have calced the Terra Blast not KOing and found out that it wasn't banded.
Oh yeah.
The funny thing is, banded, I think would have been a roll to KO from what we saw from the 65. But yeah. So now we go to game 2, and we see that they lead Blastoise again. Again, feel relatively confident about the fake out. Again, expect a Weavile lead. The confidence here with Revavroom makes me think that they're either going for setup on Revavroom, or that they have a choice scarf then, because they know that you're not Sash on Weavile, and they're able to threaten damage into that Weavile, as well as because again they would reasonably be able to suspect that you're Cloak. I think you don't. They didn't have Intimidate, right?
Yeah, no, they didn't.
Which is the main reason that you run Clear Amulet. So that sort of kicks aside in the Intimidate option and makes you think, okay, they are very likely Covert Cloak. Again, don't know for sure. One of these two Pokemon, I think, you are reasonably concerned is Covert Cloak. I think you've seen at this point that the Weavile is not Sash, and is likely doesn't have Fake Out. So if they have Roar to be able to face Slowking, like, or any other way, they may double the Slowking, or they may try and phase it, but they probably want to try and pressure out the Slowking this turn to prevent Trick Room, or they want to get rid of the Weavile, even though that potentially gets in a thing, because they think, okay, I've got the Assault Vest Blastoise, I've got this Revavroom here, I've got 2 guys in the back, they're probably going to be able to weather Trick Room. I think both those takes are pretty reasonable, especially if the Breloom has a Terra. That means it's not weak to Psychic or Poison.
Yeah.
So,
I guess
turn 1, we see Terra Ghost trying to play around the Fake Out. We see the Iron Head confirming that it is Scarf. And we see actually a Beat Up come out here. So, we don't see a Justified Pokemon on this team here.
No.
That suggests, I think, basically always that this is King's Rock Beat Up.
Well,
with the idea being that it gets flinches.
Yeah, should I talk about why I'm Beat Up?
Yep.
Okay. So, I need a way to beat Sash Frostlass at lead. This beats, sort of, Sash Frostlass at lead. Now, I don't know how to actually calculate for Beat Up. It's really annoying.
It is. You have to look at the base special attack the base physical attack of all the Pokemon added together and multiply it.
And it's a very difficult thing to do in VGC when you're only bringing 4 and like that sort of thing. So I was like, Beat Up, and I'm gonna slap a King's Rock on it. So if Frostlass doesn't die to the Beat Up, it's going to get flinched, and it also just works well with other moves that Weavile likes to click, such as Triple Axle.
Yeah, equally multi-hit moves anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I just thought, like, the opportunity cost is pretty low, so I'll just go
and then even if you do KO, obviously that's good. If you don't KO, you have the King's Rock, which has a chance to flinch, and if they Terra so that you don't KO, then you still have that King's Rock chance to flinch.
Yeah. I will say this turn revealed Revavroom is a Scarf, officially. Yeah,
which is something that we may have suspected at this point, but we didn't know for sure, certainly not. At this point, we very strongly, Revavroom is Scarf. That's something that we could have theoretically have thought about, and that's something that weighed into your ability to click Terra Ghost. So decide to click Terra Ghost. Obviously, it played around Fake Out, but they are unlikely to Fake Out you because they suspect that you might be Cloak. But it plays around the Iron Head.
Yeah.
And then Beat Up into Blastoise covers, like going for a flinch there to stop them roaring out a Slowking.
Yeah.
Now, we do see that the Slowking is not Covert Cloak.
No.
Because, unfortunately, games...
I can't remember what item it is.
I know what item it is, but I won't mention.
I remember what item it is.
I think if they're here, they're suspecting that you're either Berry or Safety Goggles.
Yeah.
At this point.
I think that's a decent assumption. Yeah, but look, I think regardless of this position, and they did a lot more damage to me that turn than I did to them, I'm pretty confident if I can get Trick Room up in a decent position. Because especially with Breloom in the back. So I click Protect here, Iron Head, flip turn, I live it, and then I get fucking flinched, and I'm pretty annoyed.
Okay, don't... I don't think that... Look, at this point, I think the swearing is a little excessive. Should have just been Covert Cloak.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I should be I could be Covert Cloak in this matchup, because Breloom is quite, like... This team...
Yeah, Terragrass. No, I'm not, like, actually litigating that at this point.
Yeah. Super Villain Ultra Mega Sacaba's team is very well put together in the way that it sort of pressures people's items.
Super Villain Ultra Mega, that is one way to put it.
Yeah.
So yes.
Look.
The flinch there preventing Trick Room is not great.
No. But, you know, I got a little bit more revealed on Blastoise, that's nice.
And surely you will flinch this Blastoise
hoping to flinch it at this point, which it doesn't do.
I think you might just be a bad player.
And Jeremy Clarkson is cool. Yeah. So then I can go Fiona and I fake out the Revavavoom and knock off the Blastoise, getting rid of its Assault Fest officially.
Confirming that it is Assault Fest.
Or do you want to pause at some point?
Okay, sorry, yep.
I'll go back to this. So I wanted to go back
this turn. Knock it out. Obviously, the Revavavoom's locked into Ironhead.
Yeah, I think this was a pretty fair, easy thing. I could just fake out that slot at all times and take out the Blastoise and turn this into a 3v3, which was pretty important.
You either got to knock out the Blastoise or knock off whichever Pokemon was in the back, and then you always got either some chip on Revavavoom or either Frostlass comes in and it's immune, or something else comes in and it takes some chip from fake out.
Yeah, yeah.
So very low risk profile
and
turn.
And then comes the Breloom.
Now,
and
at this point, they're threatening both of your Pokemon with a KO, with a close combat into Berserker and an Ironhead into Weavile.
Yes. So at this point, I wanted to just sort of talk about... Basically, what I decided to do is I decided to bring in Hydrapple. Hydrapple does have Regenerator.
Mark Punch check. Because your other Pokemon are not taking Mark Punch.
But it's also taking, like, an Ironhead. It's basically, like, it's taking Mark Punch, it's taking an Ironhead. And I just thought, like, it'll probably be for the best as I click Protect, which I think I do on Weavile at this point.
It means that you have the ability to reverse whatever gain they make this turn. And surely... No, actually, we know every item on your team at this point, right?
Yeah.
Or they don't know 100% for sure that you're King's Rock, you just are playing like you're King's Rock. They know the Hydrapple's EH. Oh, sorry, they don't know what the Berserker is, sorry, I lied, I apologize. They actually have very little information on the Berserker. They saw Fake Out, so I think what they have gained for that, if they've calced, depending on how invested that River Room is, it doesn't look like that's a particularly... Like, that doesn't look like it's attack invested, that Berserker. It looks like it's quite tanky. I think that should generally be doing about, like, 11 to 13. If you're, like, max attack adamant, depending on how bulky the River Room is. So, you know, they know how bulky the River Room is. They know that you're not attack invested. That could mean that you have, like, an attack boosting item with Protect. Could mean that you're defensive, like Assault Vest or Citrus Berry.
Yeah.
They haven't seen a Citrus Berry yet, and they haven't seen an Assault Vest yet, and they know every single other item with reasonable certainty. They know, or they don't know what the Slowking is, actually. They just know it's not Cloak.
Yep.
It's possible that the Berserker is Cloak as well. So, we see Protect come out here, we see the Mark Punch come into the slot that you were protecting on, and the Ironhead come out here. So, this means that the play they have to make is either attacking the Hydrapple with Breloom and, like, potentially doubling into it, or they sort of risk an Earth Power into either slot, or they can Mark Punch, predicting the Berserker to come in. But then they're, you know, Mark Punching into the Terra Ghosted Weavile. So
either way, I felt like I had to bring in Berserker here.
Yeah, they don't go for a particularly crazy play. They go on... This one is still relatively safe. It does risk a KO into either their Pokemon, but they're still in a pretty good position with whichever Pokemon is left, because they're able to threaten the Hydrapple and the Berserker. Both of these Pokemon with Mark Punch. Or with the Ironhead, they're able to threaten Hydrapple or Weavile in the back. And then they still have their fourth Pokemon, which hasn't been revealed. But I think at this point...
No, it has not.
I think, honestly, when you see Breloom, you're leaning towards Frostlass.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot to talk about that. When this Breloom comes out here, I think you're always leaning towards Frostlass, right? Yanmega is generally better as an early game support option with the set that you've seen, which is Bug Buzz Air / Tailwind, and I believe we saw Protect last game?
I think so.
We did not see Protect last game.
Oh, okay.
So it's possible that it has some other thing that will allow it to be sort of more late gamey, but you definitely, I think, are more anticipating it to be an early game option. So I think you're basically always thinking Frostlass. It seems to me very unlikely that it would be Carbink here, unless the Carbink has some set that would allow it to hard counter Trick Room if you did set it up. At this point, like, we see that your damage is so consistent against this team as well, that this Hydrapple basically immediately won in Trick Room. That's probably an exaggeration, but like...
It did a lot of good stuff in Trick Room.
Like, it is very difficult for them on this turn already. So we see the Earth Power comes out into the Breloom, meaning that the Berserker is relatively insulated, especially if it is Frostlass. It's very likely that a Frostlass and Reverum would need to double the Berserker. If it is Assault Vest, then that's quite a challenge for the Frostlass. If it's Citrus Berry, especially if the Iron Head gets a roll that gives it, like, you know, then like there are different options which may prove difficult for different Frostlass sets. So we see that it is Frostlass.
The cool thing is I do actually have Fake Out still, so and I can just Fake Out that Reverum all day as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
But I could also just attack the Frostlass, which,
you know. So we see an Ice Shard come out.
I end up doing.
The problem with Fake Out would be that it just lets them kill Hydrapple for free.
Doesn't do anything.
Yeah. So they go for the Iron Head, which only has the, like, sort of flinch out there. Now, they reveal Sash. They do get the Curse Body. Now, this Curse Body is obviously pretty good for them heading into Game 3, because it means that they're able to delete Hydrapple, and having deleted Hydrapple, able to see what the Berserker's last move is. Also, they see the Berserker is slower than Hydrapple, which suggests to them that Hydrapple is meant to work with the Icy Wind support here, and the Berserker is meant to focus on Trick Room, because Berserker is naturally faster than Hydrapple, so this Berserker's min speed and this Hydrapple is not.
The Ice Shard is a bit of an interesting one here as well. I think it's sort of like...
Yeah, they had seen Yache.
It does imply it's... Yeah, like it does, like the Yache, because of the Yache it did live it.
Yeah.
And I think it sort of implies more of a, I guess...
Physical. Very much physical offense.
Physical, or like, if they didn't, like, maybe that was their only ice attack, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's either like a full support set, but yeah, so like a support. I mean, it's possible that Icy Wind didn't KO, or, you know, there's some investment particulars, though they've got a good idea about how bulky you are based on the Terror Blast from last game. Of course, they may just have forgotten that you had Yache, right? That's always a potential.
That's also possible.
But it could also just mean that their other two moves, their other three moves, right, are, like you said, other attacks that can use. Could be like Taunt, Protect, or it could be like they have Triple Axle, Poltergeist, whatever, and they just didn't want to miss.
Yeah.
So, another Ice Shard comes out, and they do get that information of seeing that you have Seed Bomb, which may be like, okay, maybe I feel less confident in using Blastoise. So that is information they wound up getting out of that Curse Body.
What I will say is, oops, forgot about the berry. Okay, there you
so
go.
I think that would suggest that either that or they're just an absolute giga brain.
They are. It is Super Villain Sukaba.
Yeah.
So that went pretty okay, as it turned out. That was nice.
Yeah, they just, even with the speed advantage, they really struggled to threaten the Hydrapple. They wound up hitting it with 3 moves and it didn't die. Yeah. And then you still had that Terraghost Weavile.
Yeah.
So then getting into Game 3, you could honestly do the same lead. Or you could do a mix-up lead. Certainly Scarf Miss Mages still seems pretty good. Especially if you pair it with any other Pokemon. Like literally any other Pokemon.
Like Scarf Miss Mages...
I think on their end, Yanmega feels like it's a good guy.
The same lead is also good just because they do struggle to, like, unless they have Taunt, they do struggle, or they flinch Old Mate slow kicking again, they do struggle to stop Trick Room from getting up. Presumably they've got some sort of anti-Trick Room tech, which they're probably going to bring, but they didn't even see Slow King.
Yeah, oh sorry, I'm so stupid. Last game I talked about Roar on Blastoise.
Yeah.
It doesn't have Roar, it's Assault Vest.
Yeah.
Dragon Tail would be the actual thing that I mean to say.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it learns Dragon Tail. So many Pokemon lost Roar as well. It's something.
Does Breloom have Storm Throw or whatever that move is?
It's got Spore.
Yeah. That is true.
I don't think it has Storm Throw. Yeah. I think Storm Throw might be a cut move, but I'm not 100 on that. I'm going to quickly double check. Is Storm Throw a card? Storm Throw is a card.
The other thing you need to keep in mind about Glow King as well is that I haven't revealed the Mental Herb or the glasses safety goggles yet. So if you want to stop,
they have to fake out and damage.
Yeah, you know, like if you want to stop.
They know you're not Citrus Berry. They know you're not Pinch Berry as well.
It could be like a 50-50, you know what I mean? Like, okay, well, I stopped those with Taunt, but it could be Mental Herb. Oh, I stopped those with Spore, but it could be the safety goggles.
I think they only have one likely Taunt mod here, which is Frostlass.
Yeah.
Theoretically, I'm not even sure if Breloom runs it. What, sorry?
Young Mega could have Taunt? I feel like Young Mega gets Taunt.
I don't believe it does, but I could be wrong. I'm not an expert. Yeah.
I'm a bug expert, but I lied to you, it doesn't have.
I was like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't, but yeah, that's fine. You know nothing about this Yarn Mega. You know that it's like Spatak invested, we know it's very likely Cloak, it's either Cloak or Clam, but you don't know what its Terra is, which is like the main problem if you do go for the Miss Mages lead. So, we see Frostlass Yarn Mega come out. We see Frisk, so they know that you're King's Rock 100% for sure, and they know that you're Safety Goggles. So now if they do have Taunt, they can click it.
But the difference
but you can kill the Frostlass with Beat Up, surely.
Yeah, or I could flinch it with Beat Up.
Like, surely Beat Up would KO.
Beat Up.
Beat Up did not KO.
No. Got close.
The thing is, this tells them, I think, that you're Berserker at the back. Because of that 28 damage. I think this actually tells them that this does 20. I think tells them that it's not Miss Magus as well. Or very likely not Miss Magus. If that's Miss Magus, that's probably a max roll. So we know that this is Weavile, and we know this is Slowking. That's just how the move works. And then it tells you that you have a Pokemon with higher base attack than Weavile, or similar base attack to Weavile, which is certainly not Hydrapple, is certainly not Miss Magus, and is certainly not Flygon. And then from the back, they can probably reasonably eliminate that it's Miss Magus, because Miss Magus has very low attack, and Slowking has sort of middling.
Yep.
So,
you're not wrong.
Do they get flinch though? And they also get the disabled, because Ghost Body, 4 hits, very likely. They go for the Bug Buzz here. The Terra Ghost, again, turn 1. Probably the only set that's ever mattered.
And then I click the Trick Room with Jeremy Clarkson.
Yep. They go for the Ice Shard chip.
I think just to get some chip in here. Psychic there.
Throw out a funny Triple Axle. Now, you know that this Revavroom is Scarf, so it's always faster than both these Pokemon, which means that you can throw damage into it. But obviously if you faint, then you faint. So we see the Bug Buzz come out here. Terra Ghost Bug Buzz. Not Terra Ghost, sorry. Terra Bug Buzz.
Yeah,
doing a good bit of damage. I don't think that this knockoff matters, because it's a Revavroom, and this is a Weavile. It just took 60 from Psychic, so we know it's probably got some HP investment, but it doesn't look like it's max. Or it's got some Spidef investment. But it's possible it has direct Fizdef investment. We killed the Revavroom last game, didn't we?
Yes.
I don't think we got any information from it, because I think we like O-coded it with power. We saw with Fake Out, because you know that you don't have attack investment. You saw with Fake Out that it's maybe doesn't have bulk, or if it's got bulk, it's not like max Fizdef.
Yeah.
So yeah, that turn goes out. The reason that you switch would be to cover for a Bullet Seed going into the Weavile slot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, at this point I'm in a really good position, so I just wanted to keep my guides. I've only got so much time to Trick Room, and I wanted to make sure, like, okay...
At this point, you expect it to beat all of their Pokemon outside of Trick Room, because it already beat their only Pokemon that loses in Trick Room, and then the only way for them to win with the Trick Room reversed would be to get Tailwind off. So if you can force them to, like, lose the Yarn Mega, then they are in a very difficult position.
Yeah.
So this switch here, if they Mark Punch, it did nothing to Weavile, so you expect them to Bullet Seed or like a Rock Tomb or whatever. It's very unlikely that mattered. Sorry, it went slightly too fast. Bug Buzz there, not getting the roll, meaning that Slowking lives, means that it's in range of Mark Punch, which means they're basically always Mark Punching that slot. And it's the last turn of Trick Room, so if you switch in Weavile, unless they click Tailwind this turn, which you can prevent them from doing by hitting it with Hydrapple, then you have the Weavile outside of Trick Room, which is a very difficult position for them to get out of.
Which is exactly what I did.
Yeah, and then you're able to just throw whatever attack you want to.
I was considering doubling the Breloom, but I'm just like, no, I think it's like attacking the Breloom with Hydrapple, but I just went, no.
Yeah.
The way
the only way you lost was if they clicked Tailwind, or, sorry, probably not. Yeah. The only way is an exaggeration. But it'd be very difficult for you to lose if they... Sorry, if they click Tailwind this turn, then they have like a clear path to where they can win. Because they can Bug Buzz this, they can Bullet Seed this, and then the Slowking is, depending on its ability, it could be on tempo for very like regenerate at 35. It's probably not. We know it's not taking another Bug Buzz, and then whatever your Pokemon has in the back, all they need to be able to do is either Spore it or Oko it with Breloom, and that is very high odds. So I would assume they went for Tailwind this turn. I don't know, but the Tailwind this turn was how they win the game, and going for attack there prevents them from doing that. Sorry, I'm saying that slightly too strongly. They could also do that if they Tailwinded the turn after. No, they couldn't. They could threaten both of your Pokemon with a KO, but then potentially lose to Weavile after. But getting the Weavile in safely, like their play that would win would be if they had gone for a Bullet Seed into this Weavile slot.
Yeah.
And protected the Yanmega. But even then, because they expect Berserker to be in the back.
That's too much of a...
But they're still too low. I think.
Yeah, and then
is that true?
Yeah, well, if...
No, because they're in the position where they either have to sack a Mon to Hydrapple, which is the Yanmega, or sack a Mon to Berserker. No? Because they could just attack both of them. If Slowking... So, if they killed the Weavile, and then Slowking and Hydrapple came in, neither of them... But they're both immune to Spore, and neither of them... that you'd probably have to 5 Bullet Seed hits would probably KO Slowking. I don't think 4 would, and we know they're Life Orb, not loaded dice. Obviously, they also need the Life Orb damage. So theoretically, a Protect and Bullet Seed play could have given them an out, but that would have required them to get that 20% chance against the Slowking, and for that to still KO, which I do expect it would, with 5 hits. And then they would have to Bug Buzz the Hydrapple. Otherwise, you could... knock out the Breloom, and the Berserker very, very likely beats the Yanmega from that range. And again, they on turn 1 can be reasonably confident that it is Berserker you have in the back based on that 28, because the base 100 attack of Flygon, even if your attack invested, isn't going to go higher than a Weavile roll.
Yeah.
But they didn't know for sure whether this was Flygon or Hydrapple here. You'd expect it to be Hydrapple, because Flygon does have that base 100 attack. But yeah.
No, I think good analysis. Yeah, really, I just made that play.
It was a really good lead, though, that Frostlass. Obviously, if knockoff, beat up killed, that would have been good. But otherwise, yes, the taunt from Frostlass could have been...
I think if I had Flygon in the back instead of Hydrapple, probably could have killed. But also, like, Hydrapple was really important, so I was never doing that.
I don't even remember how much it was at.
Had 8%
didn't faint. 7? Yeah, it probably didn't with Flygon. I hate doing this maps. It's not fun.
No, it's not.
Beat up is like a mildly annoying move, I won't lie.
I wish it was easy to calc for.
Yeah. When we were prepping, we thought it would KO. They had like... Sorry, now let's get to the pastes. This is your team. I think we saw 90% of this. Oh, we could have gone for Helping Hand beat up. That would have been funny.
That actually would have been hilarious. Oh, we should have. Oh, we're fools.
But getting that trick I don't think it would have won the game, to be clear.
Yeah. I was Hydro Pump. You actually... in the little amble, you were talking about, Solid Rock. Solid Rock, Camera Up, great ability, it's only got 2 weaknesses, and doesn't have...
One of them is Earth Power, which is relevant.
But it did, because I was going to have Chilling Water Pulse on Jeremy Clarkson, and then I realized, it's got Solid Rock, I need Hydro Pump. So that's why Hydro Pump's on it. Just nuke Camera Up 80% of the time. Yeah, you can see here we've got the...
You did have Trick, so if you're a good player, it would have Trick turn 1 game on.
Yeah, but I'm a bad player.
Had Rock Slide.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to use
Wasn't particularly relevant. If you'd gone for Outrage that turn, it probably would have been better than Earthquake.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Well, I mean, it just would have done more damage, right? So it was guaranteed to be better.
Oh, I was Terra Ground, but it's double. It
probably is relatively similar power because it's a 1.33x boost on 0.67. But that just means it's a 100 base power move effectively instead of the... No, how much does the reduction equate to? No, you do 0.75. Dude, I hate doing maths. Why are you making me do maths?
Because I am
42.
a math teacher.
So, if you add 42 to 75, that goes to 117, which means it was
secretly your maths
3 base power less than Earthquake, but Outrage could have killed Yanmega. To be clear, Outrage killing Yanmega would have been good.
That would have been good. You're right.
Yeah. Spatak investment, some Spadef investment did not wind up working out because this is probably for Ice Beam that they did not bring Ice Beam. Triple Axle is actually quite
it was for
difficult.
It was to live Ice Beam after
from
a Shell Smash, actually.
That makes sense. May have helped into a Bug Buzz if they hunt Terra Bug as well. But yes, they ran Triple Axle, which can neutralize the effect of a Yachi Berry, but Ice Shot cannot. And they did have Rock Tomb. They could simply have clicked Rock Tomb and then would never have lost the game ever, because they would have clicked Rock Tomb. Also, this carving set, by the way.
It's incredible.
The Zero Bulk Meteor Beam spam.
Strong. It is incredible and strong and charismatic and a bit special.
We do love the Charismata. But yeah.
Yeah, I wish.
Blastoids.
I wish I was brave enough in my convictions to be able to remember.
We never saw the Ice Spinner, but presumably it was for Hydrapple.
Yeah. I think that's a correct assumption.
So I think we talked about adjustments that you could have made. I think it would have been very difficult to make that Bullet Seed call, on like the Weavile coming in. For one thing,
I don't think
the Berserker could have come in, right? Obviously the Berserker doesn't want to take a Mark Punch. But I think your turn 1 play here, the Icy Wind play was good, the Terra play probably was not good. Losing Flygon was probably fine.
But the thing that stops the Bullet Seed thing is I could have also very easily just clicked Psychic with Slowking. Like, who cares, it's at 3%. It is...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they were... But yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly if you own tempo, which they, again, why would they think you own tempo? But, yeah. Then you don't have any way to get back into it. Ultimately, the Scarf Forever Room wound up being reasonably effective. This offensive Yanmega, very, very solid. The Blastoise being max attack definitely helped, because it meant that it was... if it wasn't max attack, like if it was bulky instead of an offensive invested, the fake out wave crash wouldn't have KO'd Flygon, which is funny. But you should have been able to know that it was attack invested, but not necessarily adamant from the fake out. And then did it like actually hit? Oh yeah, it hit the Slowking in game 2. It didn't come game 3. Did it hit anything else in game 2?
I don't think so.
I think it flip turned into a protect. Or no, it flip turned into the Slowking, didn't it? No, it flip turned into protect and then wave crashed the Slowking. Did they win if they went the other way around? That's the question.
No.
Yeah. So I think that they had really solid speed control plan in game 1, but when you were able to adapt for that fake out tailwind lead, it was very challenging for them to get around it. They had prep to try and stop your Trick Room. They got Fletchers to help you get the Trick Room, but even without the Trick Room, your team was consistent enough that it was really difficult for them to break through you. Even with the incredible damage coming out of this max attack, Terra Bug Buzzes coming out of Yanmega, it was a roll into Slowking because of its very good natural special defense. You didn't even have any special defense investment. It's just, it turns out having a bunch of really high special defense is good.
What? That's shocking to me.
Yeah, I know. Also, even if it had died, I think you probably still won because you just brought Berserker out. And then won in Trick Room. Like if it 2-hit cured rather than Mark Punched.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously this play was so much funnier. There's your Heat of the Week candidate there. So yeah, I think definitely good play. This carving set is interesting. I can see why it didn't come to any of the games. But yeah, definitely a strong option. Oh my gosh, have we been talking for an hour?
Oh god.
Okay.
Well, let's
second game.
These other ones.
Gosh, I don't think I actually talked about this matchup much.
No. Okay. Well, this game. Let's look at this. What I'm seeing. LS's team, as always, got to be a bit slow.
Yep. They have like us 3 Pokemon that are faster than LS's entire team.
Like us talking about matchups and replays. This team's gonna be slow.
I think it's also the stuff that we wasted time before. But yeah. LS's sorry, they have 3 Pokemon faster than LS's entire team. Those 3 Pokemon are all fairly offensively potent. So that's Big Jambapalm, Lycanroc, and Basculin. Now, LS has been making pretty effective use of the Choice Scarf item, even if they haven't been winning every single set. They've been pretty they've been challenging for the opponent to deal with.
Yeah.
So they have to think, okay, what is LS Choice Scarfing? Can I fake it out, etc., etc. And then they have to consider, okay, all those 3 attackers are predominantly physical, though you can absolutely run special effectively on Basculin, and if you really want, you can run special on Ambipom. I've done it before, I do not recommend it. And then they also have the ability to deal, depending on what the Scarfer is, with the Scarfer through potential Sucker Punch from Honchkrow.
Honchkrow.
Sorry, I watched the Sora game, and one of them had Honchkrow and the other person had Devotion, and it's sort of tripping me out.
That Sucker Punch from Honchkrow does discourage like Terra ghosting the
whatever the Scarfer is,
avoid fake out, which is pretty, which is pretty neat.
Or just Ambipom normal move.
Yeah. I will say, I think Mabostiff's pretty good here. They've got a very physically orientated team, so getting that Intimidate off is
that's what I was saying about, and then the Basculin's the only one that can sort of flex special.
Yeah.
That said, sorry, the only one of the 3 Pokemon faster than the entire opposing team. That said, Mandibuzz is a Pokemon that has a good special attack stat, Devotion,
Mandibuzz.
And
Honchkrow.
I do in fact mean Honchkrow. I was saying Mandibuzz earlier, wasn't I? You just didn't call me out into it until now?
Maybe. I will say though, the problem with Honchkrow is that its best non-stab special attack move is Heat Wave, which cannot be clicked this season of BBL.
That's so true. I mean, it's not like it could just click Dark Pulse. They have Look at the Dark Pulse resists. It's this guy, and then these 2.
If you're talking about looking at resists, the resists I want you to look at is the ice resists that the opponent has.
You may see that they have such incredible ice resists as Baby Arca Hisuian Growlithe.
And Basculin.
A fully evolved Pokemon.
And that's
which means it can't run Eviolite.
Yeah.
So they have Basculin, which is faster than every single Pokemon in the history of the game. But most importantly in this matchup, it does have Adaptability Wave Crash, but it can die. And if we learned anything from Batman v Superman, it's that the only question you need to ask is, do you bleed? And my guy, let's just say, the Basculin looks like it may be menstruating.
But what's his mother's name?
I've already moved on to the next joke, but sure. So, Beartech, very offensively strong. Dude, Mabostiff is really difficult for this team to deal with, so they do have the Alchemy. But then the next resist is Honchkrow, and then everything else dies.
You also need to remember about Alchemy. I don't think it has Moonblast.
It does not. It has Dazzling Gleam, but it does have Alluring Voice now. It did not used to have a single target fairy move, or it might have had Disarming Voice, but I don't think so. But that's 40 base power anyways, which means it would have to Terra Fairy to get up to 60 base power. But it does have Alluring Voice now, which means that it is a competent special attacker rather than a good one. It does also have Decorate, and honestly, like a decorated Devotion in Trick Room could be pretty scary. Reuniclus doesn't allow to run Signal Beam, so it has to Shadow Ball it, and I mean, there's many challenges. Terra Dark could be one of them. Just Hocus Pocus, blast it.
I will say there's also options to for Ellis to run either Scarf, Ghosty, Zappy, Rotom, or even Scarf, Icy Wind,
I think that Scarf Rotom
Grumpig
is one of those Scarfers that is quite challenged by... Well, and Grumpig are both quite challenged by Honchkrow. I honestly think that Rhydon is something that we haven't specifically spoken on, but...
That's good.
It does a lot of damage here.
Yeah, it's strong.
It's also slower than Trevenant. So you've got Basculin and Aqua Jet, but outside of the Basculin and Aqua Jet, you have like Dragolgi, and then like Energy Ball Diversion are sort of the guys that are threatening it. Everything else is getting threatened by it first.
Like, it does feel like you might need to have like speed control up, or it might need to terror.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was saying in Trick Room with if you got Trick Room up, Rhydon was pretty good.
Yeah. It does have some sort of annoyances to it.
This team has
ground typing.
4 fighting jacks. One of them's a ghost type. So Heracross is definitely good because you can facade, and then you just have knockoff for this, or even Mega Horn it. You can Mega Horn this as well. And like CC damage is good, but it is a question of what the speed control is, and that's something where like that Scarf Rotom you were mentioning could be interesting, or a bulky Wartortle. Wartortle's support here is pretty good. Wartortle's damage here isn't bad either. This team isn't exactly replete with water resists. It has the bottom 3 Pokemon here with water resists, and Ice Beam hits 2 of these, and then I would say in terms of the water resist matchup, Wartortle is probably taking hits better than a Basculin that again cannot run Eviolite because Basculin is a fully evolved Pokemon. Do not believe his lies.
But yeah, he's a trickster. He's a liar and a trickster.
Yeah. There's also a Sliggoo which does resist water, but I don't know. Frankly, I barely remember this. I barely remember this game, I'm sorry. I did not get the opportunity to talk with LS about prep before this week, or I think I did, but only briefly. Certainly not in depth.
Look at how it goes.
So, we see that there is the Sliggoo. So they do bring the water resist. Also, they have the Ruby Swirl Alchemy, which is probably like the top 3rd of Alchemy forms.
It's a pretty good Alchemy
but it is not my favourite, I'm sorry to say.
So you bring, LS brings, I think, is it the top 6?
Yeah, like we said, the top 6 are like pretty good.
Yeah.
Did you know that bringing your best Pokemon is often good? So I think that in this matchup, you sort of expect these two to be Scarf. You expect this to sort of be like your Trick Room team. But then you can use Wartortle, Rhydon, and Mabostiff pretty easily across like the faster mode. You could also just have Beartic in Trick Room. Honestly, you could have all these Pokemon in Trick Room. Frankly, if you have a Pokemon that threatens the right guys here, like the Alchemy probably has to run Min so that it can beat Heracross in Trick Room. And it's still like barely beating out Mabostiff in Trick Room.
I have noticed that Ellis's opponent, I forget their name, I apologize.
Your boy
has opted to go pretty slow with their team, all things considering. There was they
did not bring the Basculin or Lycanroc.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 Pokemon that are faster than the whole team off the rip just didn't come.
Yep.
Ambipom came, but that Ambipom came, but the other 2 just didn't, which is interesting. They did bring the Honchkrow, they did bring the Decorate.
They only brought one Pokemon that is naturally faster than Heracross.
Yeah.
They do have the Decorate options. If they are the greatest player of all time, they could be going Decorate Sliggoo, but I think they probably have other more...
They could also Decorate Sandaconda here, to be honest.
Yeah, like the Sandaconda set, Iron Defense, Decorate, like Rest with Shedskin, potential option.
Yeah, like just based on the 6 that came for LS. It's not great at destroying like ground types, so
yeah.
Besides, I mean, the
it's only got like an Ice type, a Water type, several Pokemon with Neutral Stab. Actually, every single Pokemon has Neutral Stab.
Yeah.
And 2 Pokemon with Super Effective Stab.
Oh yeah,
Did you know only one of the Pokemon on LS's team super effectively hits Ambipom with the Stab move?
There you go.
If you think about it. The other problem is that Sandaconda is frailer than you'd like it to be.
Yeah.
They only have 2 Pokemon that hit Trevenant with a Stab move, which is like you can click Decorate and Trick Room, and I'm sure your opponent will never be able to do anything to stop that. I mean, Ambipom is... The question is, how do you answer Ambipom immediately at lead, I think?
Oh, we'll have to see what happens.
So, let's go to turn 1. We see Beartic lead. Now, I think if I see this, one of these two is a Scarf, right?
Yeah, probably. One of these two is Scarf.
The other one, maybe Covert Cloak, and the Scarf probably clicks Terra Ghost.
Yeah.
I sort of expect, if I'm your boy, to lose one or both of my Pokemon this turn. So, whichever one clicks Terra Ghost, you should Sucker Punch it. But also, you won't do that much, because Honchkrow. And you need to fake out the guy that isn't Scarf clicking Terra Ghost. When I say both these Pokemon faint, I actually don't think Mabosstiff can OHKO Ambipom, but I can play her off Honchkrow.
Yeah.
So let's see. We see Terra Ghost, which suggests Scarf. We see normal gem, so you expect that it's probably either Covet or Acrobatics. I'd probably lean Covet.
Yeah, that could be Acrobatics for Heracross.
Yeah, definitely could be. Could be both.
Yeah.
Like Acrobatics, even when you have an item, is still boosted by Technician. So let's see if they went for Sucker Punch. They did not. Let's see if it's Covert Cloak. It's not.
It's not.
So, you know, like that's a win. You know, they've only lost one of their Pokemon. They exchanged for 25%. And we see Mirror Herb. I don't remember what the Defiant Pokemon is.
Oh, no, Mirror Herb's for
Shell Smash?
No, for Decorate.
Decorate, that's funny. I love LS, man.
Or like Shell Smash as well.
Possibly the greatest player of all time.
Yeah. I don't know what has Shell Smash on that team. Yeah, Decorate.
Dude,
it could be for Decorate.
I realized after I said Shell Smash that LS is the team with Shell Smash.
Yeah.
So it covers Decorate, it covers like a random sword stats like Rock or Coil on Sandaconda. But I think you're completely correct that the actual reason for it is... it could also cover an Acid Armor here, but that's not necessarily positive. But it's better than nothing, right? But I think you're right that it is for Decorate. So, let's see. Sorry, whenever I see Intimidate on a Mirror Herb... Mirror Herb on an Intimidate Pokemon, I anticipate it to be the other way around. So we see Terra Water coming out. Now, you may notice that gives it an Ice Resist, but it does not give it like a resist to the Dark move from the Dark type. Taunt comes out. We do not see Mental Up. We could see a Knockoff come out.
Knockoff
definitely
gets rid of the UV light.
Yeah, reasonably punishing. Breaking Swipe comes out, that mitigates the amount of damage that's being done, but you do lose the EVO light, so that's sort of a reasonable trade. The investment pays off.
Yeah, it does pay off.
We see a Switch come out. We see one of the greatest Horn Leeches of all time on the Chilling Water. Possibly the most chilling of waters. And like we said, Ground is just genuinely quite good here. We see an Acid Armor come out. I forgot that this was just like completely insane in every single way. This is truly one of the games of all time. I like how the Pokemon that got crit was not the Pokemon that died.
Yeah, the Ambipom.
These Intimidates have been absolutely murder. Sorry, Breaking Swipes.
Okay, and that Horn Leech, like that's got very little attack at this point. The
the Trout. I love this. So
I don't know why that taunt happened there just then. Don't know.
I don't know what this set has.
Trevenant.
Okay, let's see. Do we see a recover? We do not. No, not the Aguav, not the Pinchberry. This is just a completely deranged game. Anyone who thinks they know what's happening is just lying. Okay, CC comes out.
Okay.
I don't think that crit mattered.
Okay. Maybe we should have should sort of focus on some of the stuff here.
What are you supposed to learn in this game? So both of these teams have like weird assets.
Yeah.
So this fake out U-turn taunt. I'm still thinking Covet last move on this Ambipom.
Yeah.
U-turn is such a weird brain. We saw nothing about the Honchkrow, so it's not Sash. It didn't go for Sucker because it's a coward.
No.
They played around the Mabosstiff, so it's possible. Like the Mabosstiff could have just played off the Honchkrow that turn. Like if they don't know what's whatever. Or it could have clicked Rain Dance potentially. I have no idea if it learns it. It seems like it might, but it might not. And then like that could have been something they played around. So that's something that they have to worry about with LS. That is a speed control option that they use. It's possible they doubled the Mabosstiff that turn. With the fake out and then also some damage from Honchkrow. I almost said Halucha.
With like a...
So yeah, we see that
move or something.
The Frisk does tell information. We see all 4 items coming from Alice's side. We do not see the item on Honchkrow, but we see all the other items. Fairly certain that's EVO Light. I could be wrong, but I think that's EVO Light. I think the Chilling Water tells you the Sliggoo is also Terra Water.
You think they're both Terra Water?
Yeah, I think if the Sliggoo is clicking Chilling Water, I think you're probably doing that because you are Terra Water and you want the offensive boost. Now, that may not be a sound assumption, but that's one that I see that. I'm like, okay, I'm connecting the membranes in my mind. Because it gets a 10 base power boost and then stab, and then it's probably genuinely threatening to ride on, even through EVL Light.
I just assumed they wanted to like minus attacks on everything.
Yeah, it's nice as well, but you generally like doing damage while also winning the game.
So, I
also,
don't
you
know
think
what
that the Rhydon's Terra Dragon, because it clicked Breaking Swipe.
It's very difficult to determine what that Trevenant's, what do you call it, set, like, EVs are, because it just had, like, no attack that entire game. It just kept getting lowered and lowered and lowered.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely infer stuff. I think it probably has a little investment, but it didn't scream to me like it's an adamant set, but honestly, like... really depends on how the other Pokemon
It could have Trick Room last. Alice is very...
It missed two moves. I would not be surprised if one of them was Wisp.
Yeah.
Wisp has been fairly popular against this team. Though not necessarily evidently successful, considering that the win was against the Wisp. So, we go to game 2. How do you adapt? Frankly, I still lead Beartech. I think I still lead Beartech. I don't think it matters what you lead next to it. Mabosstiff is still such a good bring, but it could very well be in the back. I don't hate Beartech Rhydon.
By the way, I just need to get to realize the thing. We were talking about Trick Room a lot. If that's a like Acid Armor Unicorn,
oh yeah, no, it didn't click Recover, so it's possible that it's Trick Room, Acid Armor, Carmine Storm Power. That said, I would assume its last move is something to hit Honchkrow, which is... I don't know if you know very much about Reuniclus's moveset, but it doesn't learn Thunderbolt, it only learns Thunder.
Does it learn Dazzling Gleam?
No. It learns Thunder, Terra Blast, and Focus Blast, I think, are your options. Otherwise, you're hitting it with the resisted move in Energy Ball.
So anyway, I start blasting!
So, we're going to be very interested to see, when we get to the thing, whether it is Raw Terra Blast, or Trick Room, or maybe it is a Recover and they just didn't feel the need to go for it. Obviously, you could have recovered there and potentially won the game, but you also could have just not recovered like you didn't, and would you believe, still won the game, as we saw. RIP to the Holy Rhydon.
Alright,
okay, so Beartech, Heracross. Like I said, you just leave Beartech next to something else.
Yeah.
The Honchkrow here. I think you try and kill the Amber Bomb. I don't know. I probably try and kill the Amber Bomb. I probably do not Terra Ghost.
The same lead from the same lead is interesting from your boy.
Yeah, the Heracross is faster than everything except for the Amber Bomb. So if you kill the Amber Bomb, the Heracross is pretty free here. So we see a switch out, covering Sucker.
Heracross if you can.
I mean, I probably wouldn't click Protect. Did not click Protect.
Because Lash Out.
Yeah, so the fake out Lash Out play, Terra whatever.
Try to stop.
But because that punishes the Intimidate by doing double damage.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Well, it also punishes Terra Ghost Beartech.
Yes, and it kills the Ghost type. But I mean, why are they running it over Night Slash? I would assume it's because of the Intimidate.
Yeah, Intimidate.
So we see Covet come here, steals the Citrus Berry, probably one of the most dishonest plays in the history of the game, gets immediately Brick Broke for that disrespect. Unfortunately, the Moxie does not pay off.
No. So the Covet didn't really end up mattering, which is... I got the Choice Scarf and the Mirror Herb.
Let's see, do we see the double here? We do in fact see the double. So the Honchkrow switch.
The turn 1...
We know that it's not choiced, which makes me very confused, because I don't understand the place. Also, I don't know why it protected, but it was very funny. I assume for Tailwind? But none of the Pokemon you have in the back are going to be faster. It had Charm. Dude, one of the greatest players of our generation.
I will say, so basically, the turn 1 Terra Fairy really limited
Turn 1 Terra Fairy made sense, because if you got Ice Punch...
it made sense, but it put him in a very much a back position in the later thing, because then basically... Alice could really just focus down on
it meant that they didn't have the Terras on the other guys, which meant that Alchemy and Trevenant were very much being pressured.
It definitely made sense. But LS Starling by not even needing to use Terra.
I think Terra is for losers and haters, such as dare we say
me.
Terra Ghost Did you Terra Ghost every game?
No, I Terra.
No, Terra Ground. That's right. Terra Ghost. Yeah. Terra Ghost. So it was a 2-game set.
Yeah, good stuff.
Ellis's games are so much fun, man. Ellis's games are so much fun.
I mean, you know, look. All I can say is he learnt from the best, the greatest drafter of all time. Looking over his shoulder and telling him what to pick.
I agree.
So
LS's wife is truly the greatest Pokemon player of our generation.
Oh, Trailblaze!
I believe after this week, LS went and apologized to her for having mocked the Beartick pick.
Is Beartick like the kill leader or something?
I believe so. Trailblaze is cool because then you get +1 speed, and also this is max defense.
Yeah.
I like how that Brick Break just OHKOs the Amber Palm. This is what I was saying. The Heracross is just as damage.
Is very frail.
It was Flash Cannon last. That was the neutral move to hit Honchkrow.
By the way, I didn't get to talk about it, but the charm on the Bostiff is very powerful as well.
Yeah, I like the bit where it didn't do anything. That was great.
No, it did.
Okay, so it clicked Charm. Honchkrow's attack fell, and then it didn't do anything because it clicked Lash Out.
Yeah,
so they did the same damage.
But the next turn,
you're right. It would have done 18 to Rhydon, so it didn't achieve anything. I just think the Lash Out tech is really funny because the Intimidate and the Charm are both punished by it. So, speaking of great sets, but this was such a fun game. Completely
Decorate. There's Decorate. The Mirror Herb did stop them from clicking Decorate, which is a really funny sentence to say, but it's true.
Super Luck, Whirlwind, Taunt. The taunts, the Emilian taunts into Honchkrow were effective.
Yeah.
It prevented them getting phased out of the Reuniclus.
Whirlwind was presumably to stop them. Oh, it was just Acid Armor, Carmine, Sword Power, Flash Cannon. There you go.
Truly, the greatest mind of our generation. It was Terra Dragon. Life Dew was the support for Uniclus. And for the defensive Heracross.
That makes sense.
And for the Boltino Bostiff.
Defensive Heracross was pretty fucking genius, I'll have to say.
Man, it's a shame we didn't get to see this Life Dew pop off.
What?
If you think about it, the defensive Heracross was the real friends we made along the way.
You're not wrong. I also respect the 4s in every stat.
The Assault Vest Jamdaconda!
Yeah.
I love AV Jamdaconda. I was right, it was Terra Water with the Chilling Water.
Yeah, okay,
I've run this set on Sliggoo before.
This team was a very anti-Trick Room team. So it was a bit...
Oh, it was in Prison Trick Room, not Protect.
Yeah. There must have been a bit of a shock when
they just kept buying the Beartick.
Yeah, when Alice's team didn't even bother with Trick Room. You got the Whirlwind Honchkrow, you got the Taunt.
See, Jace's team is like, oh, you know, I'm not a hard Trick Room team. I just bring like several Trick Room setters every game. And then LS is like, I'm not a hard Trick Room team. I just don't bring Trick Room. It's like you did with the Slowking last week, right? You know, Trick Room is for people who
developing a theory. You know, or like when I had what was it? When I had Iron Hands and Ursaluna, and then I never bought Trick Room except in my first playoffs game, and I got owned because I bought Trick Room. And it's like, oh yeah.
Sometimes good Pokemon are good.
Don't bother.
I mean, Trick Room definitely doesn't suck. Trick Room won.
I know.
Won you this game.
Oh, no, it's not up. It didn't win me. It's not up. If it won me,
That's
it would have
been so true, bestie. I love how Trick Room just doesn't end. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite game mechanic is the fact that Trick Room, it goes for infinite turns.
Yeah.
That's why I love playing creative Pokemon. They should add persistent to the real game. They should hire just every single person who's ever contributed to create a Pokemon.
No.
Dude, I actually do love creative Pokemon. I don't know if you know much about creative Pokemon, but like they vote through each thing that they're adding, and like it's really cool. I've contributed to a creative Pokemon before.
Oh, which one?
I don't remember what it's called. It was one of the Gen 7 ones.
What did you contribute?
Oh, I voted when we were like talking out the different sections, you know. That's what contributing to create a Pokemon is. If you're not an artist.
Great win, Ellis.
Yeah, it was a really well
wild.
Both of these teams brought really interesting. I clicked on that. I'm sorry. Brought really interesting prep, and both of them, this was a really well executed game. We saw that your boy brought like a slower paced team, but even the slower paced stuff that LS did bring, like we saw the defensive Heracross, we saw this defensive Rinkless. It was really oppressive to the sort of stuff that they were bringing, right? Because outside of being able to whirlwind out the Reuniclus, if the Reuniclus got set up stored powered, not only if it had recover instead of relying on Life Dew, it was just blanking this team. So that's like a really significant issue. Losing Honchkrow turn 1 when it was a significant part of both their disruption and their damage was a real challenge for your boy. And we saw it was max HP, so it definitely would have lived that Ice Punch in that second game. Though it clicked Lash Out, which meant that it... I actually just realized, Lash Out meant that it did more damage to Mabostiff than if it didn't have Intimidate in Game 2 this turn.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, later on it switched out and then came back in and then it got Charmed and clicked Lash Out. And...
Oh yeah, that's right, there was that weird thing where they were both like accusing each other of joning.
Yeah, oh yeah, I have no idea what happened there. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, like I said, I completely forgot about this game. It was a really fun game, but I just...
It was weird.
Yes, so this one, it actually did the same damage, but on turn 1, it actually did more damage because of the Intimidate. Lash Out's a funny move. That's the one I'm thinking of, right? Lash Out is the one that does double if you get a stat dropped?
I think so.
It's not the one that does double if the opponent gets a stat raised, right? That's a different one.
No, that's Burning Jealousy, and
No, that burns if they get a stat raised. There's also a dark move that does extra if they got a stat raised.
Judgment?
No, that's another move. There's a lot of moves. Dark is one of those types that has a lot of moves, and the moves all have different effects, and none of the effects make sense.
Yeah, like Judgment having a cap on it for some reason.
Yeah, but Stored Power doesn't, because why would you need a cap on that side?
Yeah.
Let's just pull out Smeagol and look at dark moves.
No, so let's ignore that Judgment doesn't ignore the stat boosts of opponents either, so like, okay, it's 200 base power, but they're at like +6 defense.
Oh, that's right, they added Comeuppance. Yeah, Lash Outs if they got their stats dropped.
Yeah.
Am I lying? Is there not another one that...
Yeah, I didn't think there was another one.
I could have sworn. But then it would be a naughty person if I swore, because
I've
swearing
done it a couple of times in this video. I swear. You fucking coward.
This video, I would appreciate if I didn't, though. I'm trying to swear less. I swear there's another... But yeah, sorry. Let's talk about the next matchup.
Yeah.
Would you believe this is another matchup where Skarmory looks broken?
Yeah. So look, this is what I'm thinking of when I look at your matchup, and I look at, I look at everything, and I think about it, and I just digest stuff. There's a couple of things that come to mind. So firstly, for your opponent, I guess like in terms of like what they'd be worried about for you, is that you've just got like a very fast and a very strong team that can really annoy every single Pokemon. Like your offensive fast guys, I think they hit every Pokemon super effectively besides Spiritomb.
Yeah, this team doesn't like running into Jolteon, Weavile, Espeon, Pyroar, Skarmory, Clawitzer, Hydrapple, Clodsire, I think.
Yeah.
And then the question is, do I want to... can you believe that my opponents finally, after all this time, have decided to respect Bennett? This is finally a team that's good into Ghost. It's got 2 dark types and a normal that's quite good.
But so that's, I think they really need to worry about your fast stuff. In terms of what they can do, so they've got your funny little Frost Breath Tauros stuff. But again, your fast mode does put pressure on that. They can also, I think, if they can leverage speed control somewhat well, and they can do that okay with Spiritomb, it is an annoying fucking Pokemon for you to deal with if you don't Terra Fairy. they can possibly leverage it so that Hisuian Bravery like smashes you up a little bit, because it is something that your team doesn't like, and your team also doesn't love Oricorios defensively that much either, because it's mostly like Jolteon, like let's say the electric Oricorio that really does do like threaten you offensively, especially if like they can get a Quiver Dance up, that sort of thing. So I think that's sort of some of the stuff that your opponent will be trying to really focus on, trying to put themselves in a good position where they can use their strong, like, you know, like where they have the speed control so that they can just like take out your admittedly fast but somewhat frail Pokemon with their sort of heavy hitting flying types.
That my team wins in the short game, and my team has the ability to have pieces that win in the long game, like I mentioned, the Skarmory, Hydrapple, and Claude.
Yeah.
But their team really thrives in a mid-range. If they can get that Quiver Dance up, or if they can get a Swords Dance up on Bishop, or they can get a Trick Room up potentially, then they have the ability to pressure out my Pokemon. So I need to either bring a game plan with something like a bulky Skarmory that can bulk out past where they get the ability to start pressuring me, so that I become very resilient to their thing, or I need to throw out offense to prevent them from being able to get that Swords Dance off or get whatever that thing is, right?
Yeah,
because they really struggle to threaten Okos against Pokemon on my team not named Jolteon and Espeon. Rest in peace, the Evolutions. Also Pyro. Pyro's not the most stalwart defensive Pokemon. And then Weavile as well. Okay, what I mean to say is, they struggle to KO Hydrapple, Clawitzer, Skarmory, and Clodsire.
They struggled to kill my team,
like 4 guys.
this guy,
but the 4 guys are good.
Except for like half my budget. If you just ignore half my budget.
If you ignore most of my budget, let's be honest.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we are in the dance at the moment. Speaking of, like, Golurk can be a bit of an issue for your team as well. Like, there are just Pokemon that, again, as you said in the mid-game, if they can get some speed control, can really take advantage here. Yeah.
One of the great things about this is that, if you think about it, they only have, like, 3 flying resists, which means that Skarmory's just broken. Really, there's no way for them to deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, they also have Meganium, which is the best Pokemon in the format.
Yes, which is why I have to bring Skarmory the hard counter.
Meganium, Terrafire, Swords Dances, and then you're just...
Yeah, except I Iron Defense, so I live anyway.
It's Swords Dance, so it...
Yeah, if you think about it, maybe I should bring Banette. But yeah, so...
Banette's been like...
They do have the Frost Breath Rage Powder. Sorry, they played last week they played LS's team, so we did get like a highlight of what that looks like. I think if I see Intimidate, it tells me a lot about the Taurus.
Yeah.
I think that I really expect them to have a Scarfer, and I think the Taurus and Oricorio are the most likely Scarfers.
That makes sense.
They need something that pressures Weavile and Jolteon. We certainly have seen other players bring Scarf against me, and it makes a lot of sense on their team. I don't think that the Frost Breath makes any sense. I think I can probably Oko both of their Pokemon.
Yeah.
I'd
say you probably can.
Yeah, if I have Pyroar and any of my other Pokemon, I can Oko the Tauros, and Pyroar can Oko the Crouchnal. Yeah, so I can Oko both of their Pokemon, which is a challenge for them. In general, they're not very fire resilient. They've got Oricorio, if it's a fire Oricorio, and then it's like Super Jolteon weak. And then they've got Cyclizar, which is cool, but not very good into Pyroar. That said, they do have 2 Ghost types and Bishop, which means that normal moves are a challenge for me to pick. Something that they appreciate looking at my team is I don't have a Fairy type, which is great for them, because their only Fairy resist is Oricorio, which again, could just be a different type. And I honestly think, again, that makes them weak to Jolteon, right? So if the Jolteon's like Thunderbolt or Luring Voice or whatever, it's something you have to think about. But Bishop is a problem.
Yeah.
So how do I answer Bishop? I think, Scarf Tauros or Scarf Oricorio is something that feels basically mandatory, and then Trick Room's really a decent option. Swords Dance Bishop, or even just like 3 attacks is fine. And then, like, you want Golurk on the team. You want, like, you often want Braviary, you may want Spiritomb. But yeah, Oricorio with Quiver Dance or Scarf, and then Tauros there. Intimidate is nice for several of my Pokemon. But I think if it's not Scarf, it's probably like Assault Vest. With the hope being that it is able to take a hit from my faster special attackers, and then it's definitely able to threaten them back with a KO.
That makes sense.
Because I don't have Intimidate, because my team's cringe. That said, I just want to bring Pyroar and then hope that they have a berry on every single Pokemon, and then they can't activate them because of Unnerve. So we see they do not bring a Fairy Resist. Unfortunately, I do not have a Fairy type.
Oh no, they also didn't bring... So basically they bought the...
They didn't bring Golurk, which I was very happy to see.
Yeah.
Not that I brought a team banned Golurk. I prepped a lot for Golurk. You may notice this, but I have 5 Pokemon that are prepped for Golurk.
Yeah.
Like... So I can't blame them, right? But I was scared.
Yeah.
Or, like, it was a Pokemon that I had to respect. I think it basically forced me to bring every single one of these Pokemon not named Jolteon.
Yeah.
To ensure that I never had a bad matchup into Golurk. But I don't think I have a bad matchup into Golurk. That said, this Cryogonal, I'm like, what the hell is this Cryogonal doing? This Tauros, there's a 0% chance that this is the Frostbite set. I think there's a 100% chance that, like, knowing that this is Electric Oricorio, and thus it has a bad matchup to Jolteon, this is Quiver Dance, and this is Scarf. Basically always Scarf. Then, something I could have done, which I just realized, I could run Pressure. I didn't run Pressure, but I could just every week run Pressure on Weavile, and then like into Intimidate or whatever, because then I know if they're Scarf, because my Pressure ability will show before they're Intimidate, if they're not Scarf.
That's a good idea. I should steal that from my Weavile.
Yeah. Like, Pickpocket's been good. I don't know if you've pickpocketed anything, but I've stolen a Choice Scarf and a Life Orb.
Only in real life.
So true. Yeah, I think I basically just want to lead Weavile, and then whatever Pokemon I think makes the most sense next to it, which could be Jolteon, could be Pyroar. Accordingly, they need to lead whatever checks Weavile, which is probably the Scarf Tauros.
I definitely think you have to bring the Jolteon at some, like, either at lead or in the back. I think it has to come in.
Braviary is a problem, and Steel Resist.
Yeah.
Skarmory's cool, but it's also weird. I think I need to really feel out, like, what the hell this Cryogonal is, confirm that this Tauros is Scarf, figure out what on earth Spiritomb is, maybe know whether the Bishop is like a setup set or whether it's just like immediate damage, and if this is like a Tinted Lens Braviary, it is actually a bit problematic for my team, because you may notice that I don't have a Flying Resist if it has Tinted Lens, and my Psychic Resist is Weavile.
Yeah.
So, definitely something to consider. So we go to Team Preview, we see that they have done exactly what I was hoping. Sorry. I have a Nerve, which would let me see if a Tauros was Scarf lead. I forgot to mention that. I am very dumb. But yeah, so we see that my Pyroar is faster than their Spiritomb. This could theoretically be Scarf, but I don't think so. But you know what they say about stupid people. Stupid is as stupid does. Actually, I think this is still slower than Weavile if it's Scarf, and certainly slower than Jolteon. Just doing maths. I think it hits... No, it hit 199. No, that doesn't make sense. You add 60, it hits 180. And you add 4, and it hits 192. So slower than both of them. Yeah, sorry. Just had a stroke, you know, it's fine. I think I basically want to stop them getting Trick Room at any cost, so I go for a double attack.
Into the knockoff, and then the overheat, which does get them.
Okay, and then we see Intimidate come out. Now, they know that I'm Clear Amulet.
Yeah.
And I do think that's Scarf. Now, neither of us have clicked any terrors. So what I do here is I click a terror. They crit me, which is actually quite frustrating.
Terrible idea.
No, it was quite an effective terror. Unfortunately, they crit me, which is frustrating.
Yeah.
On the plus side, they Psychic into the Pyroar, who lives. The great news is, this Pokemon does too much damage. Now, the reason this is annoying is I don't get to know if there's Sheer Force or Tinted Lens here. If I hadn't terrored, I would be able to know for sure if they were Sheer Force or Tinted Lens. but I don't get to that information. They go for Terrifier, which doesn't really matter. I go for Protect. So they do miss this Heat Wave, because Heat Wave is cursed. But it's very unlikely to matter into the Clawitzer.
Yeah.
Now, something that they get to learn this turn, which theoretically they could have learned last turn, is that this Clawitzer is Assault Vest or Max Special Defense.
Can you find out what the move it did into Clawitzer, whether it's thingy or thingy?
Probably, but I didn't check.
Oh.
I definitely could have learnt at that point, but I didn't. I don't think that Heat Wave is necessarily indicative of either, though I would probably lean Sheer Force. I think what I did learn is that it's not Life Orb.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's possible that they were... I think it was possible that they were some boosting item with Tinted Lens, but I think that they were likely Sheer Force. I think I was acting off the assumption it was Sheer Force in general, to be honest. But yeah, they took that Thunderbolt pretty reasonably well, which showed that they are probably Trick Room oriented, which makes sense. Obviously, they led it with a Trick Room setter and then click Trick Room and Protect. So possibly Room Service, possibly like a Power Anklet, but I'm not actually clear on what their set actually genuinely is. We know that it's not Citrus Berry. Do we know it's not Citrus Berry? Yes, we do. I was like just making sure Pyro wasn't out. But that's really all the information that we've gotten. Is it's not Life Orb, it's not Citrus Berry. Possibly an Slow-Moving item, it's possible it's a Pinch Berry, it's possible it's a Cloak. There's really a lot of information that we didn't get. I think Cloak is reasonably likely as well. So, my adaptation is not to adapt, I think. Or do I adapt? I don't even remember.
I mean, I wouldn't adapt here because...
Weavile Pyroar is pretty a threatening lead.
Yeah, you have a pretty commanding...
I think they're basically very likely to switch up Tauros, and the Tauros is going to Raging Bull. I wanted to say CC, but that's not correct. It's going to Raging Bull the Pyro. And then what they lead next to it, there are a few options. Oricorio, could be Cryodge. We didn't really see... So we didn't see the Cryodge or Bishop, which I mentioned the Cryodge and Bishop, two of the sets we wanted to know. We confirmed that this is... Scarf. We don't know what this item is. We don't know what this... Oh no, we knew this was Sash. So that means they could lead it. And then we don't have the Spiritomb information. Though they went for Trick Room against a Taunt Pokemon. Entirely possible that they are Mental Herb. I think we know it's not Citrus. No, we don't know it's not Citrus because we have Unnerve. Yeah. It could be Citrus. No, we knocked it off. I'm stupid, sorry. I apologize. It has Mental Herb. I could have highlighted over it and found that out. So yeah.
Thanks for apologizing.
Mental Herb, Scarf, Sash, no idea. And then they, from my side, know that this is Life Orb. They know this is Assault Vest. They know this is Clear Amulet. And they should be able to infer, based on damage, that Pyro respects, but they don't necessarily know that.
Yeah.
So, Game 2. I was completely correct. They are leading Tauros, and then they're probably pretty likely to throw damage into Pyro, is my call. So I go for Terra Fairy here. I go for Ice Shard. The idea being I don't want to triple axle and risk missing. I know this is Sash. And, you know, just in case they do target the Weavile. And then I go for the Specs Heat Wave. Unfortunately, similar to what my opponent did last turn, I also miss a Heat Wave. Because this is VBLS Season 13.
Heat Wave is the worst move in the game this
Heat Wave is a fickle mistress. Now...
It's more fickle than the beam.
I can threaten both of these slots with Ice Shard. Unfortunately, I called the wrong slot.
Oh. You get Raging Bolt, and then there's the Heat Wave coming out. And they're gone. Now,
unfortunately, I'm stupid.
It's quite strong.
Pyro will never live this. I don't know why I thought Pyro lived this. Pyro had a chance of dying to this from full.
Yeah, Pyro was the bulky dude.
So yeah, I don't know why. Like, it definitely died to a Heat Wave from this range, but yeah.
Yeah, so
I went for Thunderbolt there. If I doubled the Oricorio, I was in a much better position, but I didn't, because I'm stupid.
But now I've got
they got a light screen up. Like, what? What the hell is this Corioginal? it's got some bulk, but not that much bulk. And then it's got then it just it's not light screen. What the hell is this?
Yeah.
And then I am like, okay. I went for the Thunderbolt here because it KO'd, and I lived from this range because they know I'm a Assault Vest, right? Now I get the Aqua Jet Revenge because I'm the greatest player of all time. Unfortunately.
That crit mattered, by the way.
Oh yeah, totally. No, it did a minimum of 13.
Okay.
Because we know they're Sash, so they didn't have much bulk investment. We actually saw, I think, that they had a bit of special defense investment from this Thunderbolt, but I didn't calc how much. Now, I think we basically always expect the Bishop to Terra here. So I go for Water Pulse. Unfortunately, I just went for Thunderbolt. I definitely should have protected this turn. I just don't think there was any reason to go for an attack that turn when I know they're very likely to have Sucker Punch. So I need to get a Water Pulse Confusion to win the game because of the strain.
Water Pulse.
Now we see they're not likely on the Cryogonal. Unfortunately, I get crit here. I would have died to the next Sucker Punch anyways. This tells me it's very likely that their last move, that they don't have Throat Chop because they keep going for Sucker Punch.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you must be like AV or something, right?
Yeah, I'm AV. I mentioned that at last game, that they found out I was AV for the psychic damage.
Yeah, gotcha. So you can't even try to play around Sucker.
Yeah. So, going to game 3. Heatwave is a Fickle Mistress. I could have just clicked knock off, or I could have Ice Sharded the Tauros. I could have knocked the Tauros. There are a lot of plays I could have done differently. I could have clicked Hyper Voice as well. I'm Specs on the Pyro. I did mention that.
I think you just had the double the Oricorio. Is what it came down to.
I did.
That one turn. No, because you clicked Heatwave and then you hit the Cryogonal.
Oh yes, sorry, no, yes, on that turn, yes. I should have Thunderbolted the Oricorio. I actually don't think that mattered at all. The Oricorio clicked Quiver Dance the next turn. It didn't do anything.
Oh, fair enough.
Maybe it matters. I don't think so. My other Pokemon had fainted, right?
Yeah.
So I just was in the same endgame, except they had Cryogonal out next to Bishop. Yeah, I don't think that was the deciding factor.
Okay.
Mostly because they clicked Quiver Dance, though I understand why they did.
Yeah.
So.
Time for game 3.
Do I even adapt?
I don't know.
I mean, that isn't a... I don't remember if I adapted. Man, Pyroar is so good. Scarf Tauros is more annoying because, I think last game it was very obvious that they were basically always going to attack. You throw a fighting move into the Tauros. I think that was very clear. This game it's less safe. So I think actually what I should do is probably lead Skarmory. Because if I threaten the Oricorio, I mean, if the Oricorio Terras and its Terra doesn't specifically have super effective stab into Skarmory, the Skarmory probably beats everything. Because we know that this is Sheer Force, which means I resist its moves. It does have a fire move, so that's slightly a lie. But it beats this. Yeah. It should beat this. It should beat this. Depending on what this Terra's to, I can either kill it if it doesn't or whatever, and then it also should beat Bishop. So I think I lead Skarmory, right? Yeah, I go for the Skarmory lead.
Skarmory Weavile.
And then I'm like, okay, well, I don't even really care about this Bishop. So they could expect Whirlwind potentially coming out, or both Taunts going into here. I'm like, okay, well, Bishop is mildly annoying. It's not a really good Pokemon, but it's it's a guy, right? Sometimes you have to think about this guy and respect it. And we know it's flying, so I can't just low kick it, though I do have low kick. They may think about low kick. They really have not seen... They've seen Ice Shard, Knock, and Triple Axle. They may expect Fake Out or Protect Blast.
As is standard.
They have no information on the Skarmory. They also have no information on the Hydrackle, which as far as they know I may have in the back. But I sort of brought the same core Pokemon every game. I don't remember.
Oh, there you go.
But yes, I sort of expect this to click Trick Room, and then the Bishop to click a damaging move into Weavile, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I go for knockoff here because if they went for flying, it was fine. And then they no longer have Eviolite, which means the Pokemon on the back there. They use Brick Break instead of Iron Head. And I'm like, okay, so is this SD, Protect, Sucker, Brick Break? Because why wasn't clicking Throat Chop last game? and no one has answered that question yet. So I'm just like, okay, well, I don't really care about the Bishop because Bishop is famously quite bad. By that, I actually mean I'm going to double it this turn. I went for this play because it killed it, even if they went for Terra Flying. That's why I didn't just go for Aura Sphere. And also, I'm not scared of Spiritomb at all. I don't know if you know much about Spiritomb, but it's got a Mental Herb. So it's like either going to Wisp me, and I still win, or it's not going to Wisp me, so I win.
Yeah, fair enough.
Also, the knock was the reason it was in range. So, yeah. Low kick obviously would have been great, doing like 80%. But it was also fine. Also, they're very spit F, taking only 53 from Water Pulse. Because they took like... How much from knock?
They could take more from Water Pulse, technically.
Yeah. So the surprising thing is how much they took for knockoff and Drill Peck.
Yeah, like it did up to 53, but I could have done more than 53 because
yeah, it's possible.
Left.
But like, so we saw that. I think that this suggests to me at this point, and I am not necessarily thinking at this point because obviously it's dead, right? This I don't learn anything for a game 3, but something that I do potentially would be able to infer if this was a game 2 is this is not max HP. It's taking too much from Drill Peck, took too much from knockoff. So it's raw spit F investment and some HP or some defense. Yeah, but definitely a lot of raw. Yeah, I'm still not scared of the Spiritomb that much because it's just not going to beat anything. It has this unfortunate thing where it's a Spiritomb. It's either running Nightshade for damage, which is why I thought before I went for Calm Mind, and now it's gone for Calm Mind. I'm like, okay, if I'm lucky, it's Snarl and it does literally nothing, or it's Shadow Ball and that's mildly annoying to Scarlet. You know, I may be forced to use a Terrestrialization. Luckily, it's Snarl. And we know it's Mental Herb, so it doesn't recover or anything. So I'm just like, okay, this Grognol is really physically defensive. I don't know if you noticed this, but this is a really physically defensive Grognol.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, well, I will kill the Grognol.
35, like, defense.
I don't know.
Okay, so Trick Room.
Yeah. Trick Room's up. Scarf Taurus.
Done, yeah.
I'm not scared of either of these Pokemon. I look at +1. I don't Oko Tauros with Drill Peck.
Yeah.
So
was a really good
I bust out the tech, the resist to Snarl, and also resist to Raging Bull, and I just get a Roost off. And then I'm able to go for the Drill Peck turn, play, and then every bit of damage I do the Spiritomb's permanent, so it doesn't really matter. Even if they KO both these Pokemon, whatever I have in the back is going to be able to beat it, because it's just going to be so low on health. But either way, Skarmory, Swords Dance Skarmory wins another game. Greatest set of all time.
It is the GOAT set.
Like, it was really just about if I was able to pressure them not to bring Oricorio, and I wound up being able to pressure them not to bring Braviary, right? I just kept going Weavile, and Jolteon. It meant that I was in a position where they were unlikely to bring their Skarmory checks, which meant that Skarmory just won, even though, as you can see, Swords Dance Drill Peck Roost. And if we take a cheeky look at my paste, we see its last move is Whirlwind to prevent Trick Room, except why prevent Trick Room when you can just win in Trick Room? It was really just like, okay, they're not going to beat this.
Did you even prevent the Trick Room at that point when they said it? Because there was only 2 Pokemon left, right? Or am I wrong?
They set Trick Room only for... No, I meant I could do it turn 1. Skarmory was in on turn 1 and it never switched.
Oh yeah, they set Trick Room turn 1, never mind.
Yeah. I could have Whirlwinded it, but instead I won the... Like, I went for the Swords Dance, so that Swords Dance meant Skarmory could just win. Like, it's really... it was very difficult for them, because it's not like... It's not like the other guys were suddenly good. So, I did have low kick. Could have done a lot to the Bishop, like we wound up seeing from the knockoff damage, and to a lesser extent the Drill Peck. Not a lot of Fizz Def investment. So, like, not even max HP. So, low kick would have done a pretty hefty chunk. Absolutely would have left it in range of a Scott Drill Peck. Absolutely would have left it in range of anything. Even like a Terra Flying into Aura Sphere from Clawitzer. No Fairy Resist, so I did go for the Alluring Voice. I did go for Whirlwind here. I didn't wind up bringing the Hydrapple at all, but as you can see, it's a very similar idea to the Skarmory. Take advantage of its good defensive typing, have a Terra that covers like the 1 coverage, whatever, and use like a stab move to try and sweep out with recovery.
Yeah, be bulky and eventually win.
Yeah. Now.
No, that makes sense. And what's your opponent's?
Pyro was good. I could have Hyper Voice. The reason I didn't Hyper Voice is, again, they have Spiritomb and Bishop. but it would have won me game 2 if I did, so I should have done it.
Yeah, but locking into normal is a bit difficult with
like,
those.
clicking Heatwave would have won if I hit, and I could have missed game 1 if I missed overheats, but, you know, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
The Spadef Clawitzer with the Assault Vest wound up being very effective at stopping it, even when it was getting snarled down. It was just getting consistent damage, even without a Water Pulse confusion at any point.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Jolteon Life Orb was nice, but Pyroar just was so much better. Unnerve was also good if they potentially had berries. We do see here, actually, they did not run any berries. Clearly that was because of Pyroar. Now this Expert Belt, crazy play. I don't even, this is for the Ancient Power to be super effective into Weavile.
Yeah, Expert Belt light screen's insane.
Probably the greatest set of all time. If you think about it, this is the same sets that my Nasty Plot and Soul Stats were doing, except it was setting light screen instead. Truly, one of the greatest minds of our generation. I think that just reflects how difficult matchup into my team is. Like, they brought Snarl, they brought light screen, and they still got beaten over by special attacking moves and Skarmory, right?
I'm very lucky I don't need to prep against you.
Till playoffs, right?
Yeah, until we meet each other in finals.
Grand finals.
Just kidding. I'm not making finals. LS.
You did last time.
Yeah.
LS and I would play in conference finals because we're in the same.
Oh no!
You're on the other side, so we'd only meet in grand finals after the actual finals have happened.
Oh well, you're losing to LS though, so.
Okay, so you just don't want to see me around. I see how it is. Yeah, so I think that the critique I gave last week of this team was that the Trick Room mode wasn't really congruent with the rest of the mode. I think that's still true here. So we see the Braviary thing and Bishop, but then they, bringing Choice Scarf Taurus? Were they clicking Light Screen? Were they clicking Quiver Dance or Ikorio?
Yeah.
This team doesn't really have an easy way to have middle Pokemon that serve as great transitions between a Trick Room mode and a non-Trick Room mode, which meant that the Trick Room mode wasn't very good. I think Karma and Spiritomb could be better, could have been good, but it came out at the point of the game where the team was too far behind, and it was very difficult for them to set Trick Room because I had damage, right? That was the thing I mentioned, is that my team has to either go short game or long game, right? We see Stomp in... you see me take through the short game here, and then this game we see the mid game, and they managed to make it through the mid game. Obviously, it winds up being close because the Heat Wave miss, clicking 90, 95 accurate moves, whatever, is a way to... I'm just dying trying to figure out what words I'm trying to say.
I'm dying.
It stops the moves doing good. I probably should have switched Weavile this turn. I don't know. No, this turn, the Ice Shard turn. I actually am not sure the Ice Shard KO'd Tauros. But yeah, if it did, I should have probably gone for the KO into Tauros, because I could always KO, threaten the Oricorio next turn, or it gets knocked out by Pyro this turn. I mean, this Ice Shard play, was still correct. It definitely was still correct. It's just unfortunate that I missed the Heat Wave. But yeah, missing that meant that my high tempo wound up being pretty high variance, whereas this late game mode that I went for, obviously it wound up being less turns this game, but that's just because of the 1v1 Bishop against Clawitzer, which happened on turn 5. Functionally, this game was sort of a turn 6 game over. But yeah, like this turn 5 game, very fast, very high tempo. And then this last game went to turn 8, and it was the longer game where I was using the bulky thing, and my Skarmory wound up just being able to dominate. Theoretically, my Hydrapple maybe could have. It probably would have needed to use Terra, but they didn't necessarily hit it particularly well. We saw, Ancient Power was hitting it if I click Terra Bug. If we look at this Lash Out Bulldoze Rock Slide, then it's like, okay, they're Rock Sliding it.
Hurricane from...
But also, I just kill the Tauros, right? And if I'm Nasty Plotting, I'm getting through Spiritomb faster, because both Calm Mind and Snarl only do +1, whereas Nasty Plot does +2.
Yeah.
But Light Screen could have been a problem. So, yeah, definitely something...
Hurricane from the Oricorio guy.
Yeah, I think noting that this game was the game where I had to go late, like for my longer game, was basically how the game was decided. This Sword Stance play made a lot of sense, because if I did anything besides doubling, or theoretically I hit it with Aura Sphere, right? But if I did anything besides doubling the Bishop, then this was threatening me with a lot of damage into the Clawitzer. But I don't know if Calm Mind and Sword Stance made sense. I feel like they probably should have gone for only one of these setup plays. They were right in identifying that this is a position where they had to try and win mid-range, but I think that they probably still needed to get some utility out of their other sets. So maybe going for a Snarl this turn could potentially have made the Bishop live. As we saw, it's just 68 HP, and then it was massively specially defense invested, so it may not have. I don't think it actually would have lived, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But
I can't say I remember either.
I think that's a stronger option, rather than going for both setup moves. Have one of the Pokemon still dishing out some form of damage, some form of utility, while the other one tries to set up for that later game. Yeah. This video went on way longer than this. Thanks for everyone who's still watching. Thanks so much to Keith for still being awake. I'm going to
if no one noticed, I got really sleepy, like, basically around the time, like, right after LS's thing, I started getting really sleepy.
In the middle of LS's one, I was completely dead.
Yeah, if I just stop talking, it's because, dear God, I'm like shaking my head trying to keep.
Yeah, sorry, let's not drag this out too much longer. Thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.
Good night.